Akedabo. It's a beautiful day in Banjul, and today I am with Mr. Lamin Manneh. I used to call him Dr. Lamin Manneh.
Yes, and I keep saying I keep asking people not to call me that, just to call me Mr. Manneh
Yes.
or Lamin Manneh, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Mr. Manneh, welcome to the Verified.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure
Beautiful,
to be here.
beautiful. I mean, it's a very eventful week. A lot of things have happened this week. It's
Oh, yes.
so much a news week than probably most week in this year.
Yeah.
Um, let's look at first major events of the week. Um, we begin with the top. Spain's circular migration. There's an arrangement the Gambia government had with Spain to sort of send young people, to sort of export labor, so to
Yeah.
speak. And now it's been threatened. But let's first look at the rationale. I mean, do we need to export labor? Could we have had an economy that works for young people? And what's your opinion on this whole scheme?
The
And
labor,
also from the party's point of view.
yes, the export of labor didn't need to happen. We could absorb most of our young people in this country if we get our policies right. There is a possibility of doing so much in this country in terms of agriculture, in terms of skills development, in terms of the trades. We are importing tons of workers from abroad when we could have trained our youth to be operative in those areas. Agriculture is a non-starter for most youths because it's still manual labor. We could mechanize agriculture. We could do things to make people want to go into the agricultural sector. Agriculture is a revenue generating sector. And it lifts people out of poverty very quickly. But government has to have the right policies and the right support mechanisms and the accompanying mechanism. You don't just throw the youths in there and say, swim or sink. You provide mentorship. You do what is required. You provide equipment. You provide markets and value chains. That alone could have absorbed quite a large chunk of the youth population. The same thing goes for the trades, construction, carpentry, metal work, just name it. And in the fintech sector, you can have so many people there, have incubators all over the place. But it requires government, resolute efforts from government to push those activities in those areas, which is happening. Now, in the absence of all of that, it was important to do something because the youths are going the back way, a number of them are drowning or dying in the desert. Something needed to be done.
Yeah.
And Spain offered that possibility. Let's do something in the meantime, take people to go work on the farms, because basically it's working on the farms in Spain. Spain needs that labor, we have excess labor. What we said at the beginning was this could have been very positive in the sense that if government were to organize it properly, make sure you get rid of all of those parasites along the sides who are selling these tickets to the youth. Government takes control of it because we have
I think they did intervene in that regard.
Yes, because
initially
we came out and we denounced it very strongly and attracted attention to it in the diplomatic community and everybody. In the end, they changed that. By the time we had people like that, Obama and all of these people who were selling, slots to kids for $50,000 and above. So that was taken care of in the end. But the selection process still left a lot to be desired. When it got to the Spanish, they did a good selection, but the government did the pre-selection without involving the Spanish and other actors. So they selected basically people who they think they could use as electoral fodder later on, or their parents, etc. These are the people they selected without proper vetting, etc. And then that's what they give to the Spanish. The Spanish can only work with what they give them.
But in any case, you guys are of the view that the circular is a better option to, of course, the normal migration route.
Yes, under the current circumstances. We'd rather have circular than kids going the back way and dying in the desert and in the Mediterranean.
So the government, at least in the interim, are taking a better route.
Yes, well.
In the interim.
Under the difficult circumstances that it is responsible for. Yes, this is a better route.
Now, Barrow could say in his defense that he has found this economic situation the way it is.
Yeah, except that he's been here for almost 9 years. What did he do during that time? He could have changed the situation completely over 9 years, yes. UDP would have changed that situation over 5 years, for sure. So he had almost 9 years to do it. He didn't do anything to change that situation. If anything, it got worse. Under those circumstances, if they did it properly, Let the kids go on this circular migration. Well, I keep saying kids, maybe I'm sorry about the term. So it's a youth.
Yeah.
They go on this circular migration, get them training, make arrangements with the Spanish authorities. And the Spanish entrepreneur who are taking them into their farms, etc., give them some training whilst they are there. They will make some money. When they come back with that money, with the skills that they could have learned in that place, they could become entrepreneurs of them by themselves here. And the government could have supported that. Give them some seed money, give them bank loans, interest-free or subsidized interest rates, and let them start their own businesses. Things they do in Spain.
Government itself had incredible tons of opportunities in the past where investment opportunities could have been afforded to young people. So, for example, we've seen instances where government had access to money.
Yeah.
And so, for example, there was an alternative where, for example, during COVID, food aid amounting to 800 million.
Yeah.
So government is not necessarily short of money.
No, government is not short of money.
It's just probably sort of
ideas, strategy, follow-up, and seriousness. You see, in this world of today, I keep saying, when you have good bankable projects, there's money out there. You can
but what do you think should be the specifics of the alternatives? Because, for example, right now, of course, there are a lot of even donor intervention projects and all of that. So, for example, you have YEP, you have all sort of UDP, you have all sort of projects that are, you have IOM supporting young people going back to, who are returning with some petty businesses and all that. So you have tons of intervention projects. And government always points to these interventions and says, this is happening, that's happening, this is happening, that's happening. And of course, you have some small startups also springing up here and there. What do you think is fundamentally wrong with that? Or do you think that's not the solution, or that there is an alternative to that?
That could be part of the solution. The problem with those initiatives is that government is not following up. Government is not doing what it takes to mentor those kids and to make sure that they continue and do the right thing. Most of the funds for those projects go into administrative costs. They go into buying cars, into buying, fuel, into paying for offices and travel all over the place. This is what was, most of the money was going into those kind of things, instead of going into the actual project and the implementation. These projects, when they come, why they fail most of the time is that there isn't enough buy-in from the government. If there's enough buy-in, the government put in part of its money. What you put in the project tells everybody how seriously you view it. If you have your budget and you spend hardly anything on those kind of projects, it's because you don't value them. If you value them, what you spend on other sectors, which are really hopeless sectors, you would put it into projects like that. Why would you give more than in excess of $1 billion to the presidency when you can take part of that money and put in projects like that? Why would you open all of those embassies?
Government had explained, though, that the issue of the expenditure at State House is because money goes into so many institutions.
Those are such poor excuses. Look, State House had the same functions before he came. On the Jammeh, even on the Jammeh, but particularly on the Jawara, which is a civilian government. The expenditure of State House was pretty limited. I worked for a couple of months at State House. So you know these things. When they tell you that it goes into feeding the military contingent there and what, the army has a budget for all we know. Why is that budget not being used for part of that? The other security outfits which are there have their budgets in their ministries. They could take care of that. But how many people do you have in the presidency that should be fed and managed and paid for by the president's office? The president's office is there to deliver service, and that service is what the taxpayer should be paying for. These other annexes that are there, the security and all whatnot, are paid for by their ministries of origin. They're just seconded there to do some work there. So they're not supposed to be taking care of that. Those are just simple excuses to be able to kind of justify the wastage in the president's office. Now, the same thing. Why do you have to give over $2 billion to foreign affairs? To open up embassies where we don't have any use for them? Why couldn't you regroup those embassies? Why couldn't you run some of them from here? Why couldn't you reduce the staff in some of those embassies? We're opening up embassies just for the prestige and to be embarrassed by most of the time by people who go out there. And we take all the failed politicians and the rest and you dump them there. Foreign affairs become a dumping ground for failed politicians and civil service operatives. Use that money for something else. Why are we getting so much money being put into ministries which show no result? Agriculture is showing no result. Just going, it's going down the drain.
So in
So
summary,
you prioritize your expenditure,
yeah,
and you take care of sectors like youth. All the money that has been pilfered and which came up in the audit reports of 2018, 19, and 20 is in excess of $11 billion. Recover part of that at least, if not all of it. And you can start a youth bank. That youth bank could be a source of funding for youth entrepreneurs.
Well, we've seen banks. So, for example, if you come to investment banks that are managed by government, I mean, we had Agricultural Bank, for example.
Yeah, why did it fail?
Agricultural Bank was investing in people who were not commercially established.
And some of them had absolutely nothing to do with agriculture.
Yeah,
some of them had nothing to do with agriculture, absolutely.
And it collapsed.
And those loans were given to people who were connected to the authorities. After some time, they were written off as bad debt.
Yeah. So many people have looked at the government experiences in investments, whether it's in the SOEs or in the agricultural banks, as you alluded to. So the Gamtel, the NAVEC, all government investments are going to waste. Like
they're going to waste because we are appointing the wrong people to run those structures. Gamtel at one point on the Bakarinja was paying the civil service salaries. They were making so much money that they were paying the salaries of the civil service.
What dividends. Do you think fundamentally could UDP solve, leadership solve, that's going to make the state live much more efficient? Because we're talking about efficiency and sort of a very rational utilization of funds.
Yes.
Resources,
human and material, and financial. First of all, you start with management shake-up. You get rid of the people who are deadwood in those institutions. You sign management contracts with those the new people coming in.
But there's already a performance contract with SOEs.
Yeah, exactly. But performance contracts,
and
why
there is
don't they work?
an SOE commission handling.
I wonder what they're doing. What is the essence?
They do make some active decisions, like, for example, sanctioning some.
We'll get to that. Yeah, sanctioning, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Let's start with the performance contracts. If you set the performance target so low, of course everybody will exceed it, and they'll say, oh, they exceeded it by so much. You set the performance levels at rational levels that you would have in the private sector, and make sure that they are achieved, and people are held accountable for that. You are assessed as we go along. Every 3 months, there's an assessment. Are you getting toward your targets? Are you missing them? If you are missing them, why? Should the state help you in some way? Do you need staffing? Do you need additional resources, human and financial? What do you need to make sure that you attain your objectives? You don't wait till the end of the year and say, oh, well, they missed the objective by 20, 30%. No. You assess as we go along and see where they are. Are they meeting the targets? Are they exceeding them, or are they below? If they are below, what do we do? And you assess as you go along. So you set those targets, and they will be attained. If they are not attained, there are consequences. So you do that. You set the performance targets very well, and you get your key performance indicators defined there. You get your SLIs, service level agreements. You put everything there. So you'll have your key performance indicators, you'll have your service level agreements, you'll have your deliverables, everything defined.
But most people would say, in terms of institutional makeups, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with what we have.
What is wrong? The structures are there.
Yeah, the structures are there, the laws are there, the institutions are there.
So why do they fail?
But that's the problem. Like that's the mystery.
No, it's not a mystery.
Because you have SOEs. SOEs, they have boards. And these SOEs have also staff. They have a management, they have boards. Okay? Yeah, of course, the question of the selection of the board, they are appointed by the president.
Yeah.
But then also you have an additional almost a board, because SOE Commission also comes to manage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. That's why I say we'll get to that. You have each of those
That's
state-owned
quite an
enterprises.
accountability cadre.
Not only that, but the financial impact. All of those state-owned enterprises, they have their own boards.
Yeah.
Appoint the right people to those boards. Don't make it a way of rewarding some friends and cronies. Appoint the right competent people to sit on those boards and set them to objectives and targets that the institution is supposed to attain, or they are history. Set those targets. One. Two, the members of those institutions, set performance contracts with them that they will have to attain. Look, we saw here Social Security was failing badly, right? They brought in a young executive, and he turned it around in less than 2 years.
He also stand accused of some corrupt practices.
No, look, corruption fights back. When you start fighting corruption to get rid of it, they will accuse you of corruption. There will be some lapses here and there.
Yeah, but a lot of things also came up where he was also lashing himself with a lot of benefits that are outrageous.
Probably outrageous, and that's where the board should have come in. Yeah. The board should have come in and stopped those things from happening. But the bottom line is, he turned Social Security around. There were lapses, but he turned it around and made huge profits. Now, you have a board which could have controlled his own excesses. So we don't get to that. So his performance would have been even better if the board had performed its work. So what I'm saying, the private sector is operating in the same market with the same rules, and they are making money. Why are state-owned enterprises failing? Because we do not have the right personnel, we don't have the right level of security, the right level of determination of objectives, and we do not have the right level of sanctioning when things don't go wrong, don't go right. Why is Gamtel failing when Africell, QCell, Comium are making money?
Yeah.
And Gamtel owns the infrastructure and everything? Because the government is putting there a whole lot of people who didn't need to be there. It's not controlling the management. It's a lot of wastage. Gamtel cannot borrow to invest. Gamtel's resources are being pilfered by the state. That's what's happening.
This probably would.
But if I can just add to that, you mentioned the state-owned enterprises.
Yeah.
You take those people, appoint them to oversee an institution which has its own board already, right? You pay each of these people $140-something thousand a month for the chairperson, and $127,000, $28,000 for the other members of that board.
Yeah.
Each, every month.
Yeah.
Each of them
Do you mean
buy
the SOE Commission?
Yeah. So it's commission. The same thing for the ATI, Access to Information. It's the same thing. All of those commissions, they are paid. The heads of the institution are paid $140-something thousand a month. The other members are paid $120-something thousand, $28,000 a month. Each of them is given a vehicle, most of the time a four-wheel drive, which will spend $40,000 to $80,000 on fuel, depending on whether it's a V6 or a V8. You give them office staff. You give them equipment, you give them everything. So these are people who are going to spend a lot of money, which is going to be charged to some place. So most of the time, SOEs. Why do you have to bring an SOE commission when you have the boards of those institutions, when you have the Ministry of Finance, which is overseeing them, when you have other structures in government which are overseeing them? Just make them function properly.
In short, your argument is that there is no rationalization of government expenditure.
Yeah.
Or in other words, government is not investing, it's spending.
Yeah. It's not investing properly. It's not providing proper oversight. It's not demanding that the people who man those positions perform. It's not demanding that. You cannot appoint to a board people who are just going to be there because they're a friend to somebody in government. And they just sit there. All they do is go there and vote yes or no.
Do you think that may have been, the issue of deficit versus, because we've seen recently the Minister of Finance had released its recent data on the budget execution. And one of the things is that, of course, we've seen revenue is increasing. Maybe there are new companies opening up new economic activities, or maybe they are closing up some gaps, or maybe because they are increasing the tax base. I'm not sure. I don't have adequate data to make an informed opinion on this, but I do know there is clear sign that revenue is increasing. The other issue is that also deficit is increasing.
Yeah, deficit is ballooning because there is no control on expenditure.
Yeah.
Everybody spends more or less how they like. Everybody's exceeding their budgets, you know. And the worst part is when they have money somewhere which is not being used, which is, you know, because probably they have over endowed that ministry, there are violence all over the place.
Yeah.
And the money is being moved around, and there's no control of expenditure, and Parliament doesn't do anything to control all of
But
that.
do you not think that
No.
the Parliament also happens to have a lot of members from your own political party?
Yes, they
So
have.
Parliament's failure is not
Yeah.
failure of NPP; it's also a
No,
failure of
it's not
UDP.
NPP alone.
Yeah.
It's a failure of the NAMs there. But what you have
Not
to
the
also
failure of the NAMs; it's failure of the political
No,
parties.
I'm
that
gonna get
produce
there.
masses.
It's the failure of the NAMs who are in there, because when those things happen, they go to the NAMs, and they are supposed to vote with conscience on all of those issues. One, because what you get, you know this is right or wrong, but because it comes from government, all the NPP NAMs will vote for it. And it comes out from government, most of the time the UDP NAMs will vote against it, and other NAMs if you order from other parties. What we should be looking at, yes, the parties have a say. Yes, we will say you cannot vote for this constitution because it's poor, it's very bad for the country,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You cannot vote for this anti-corruption bill with the way it is, because why is government indemnifying itself for things that happen? We'll have those impacts, we'll have those discussions with our NAMs.
Yeah.
But when they go to Parliament, now they vote according to what they see as the right thing. And most of the time, that is, particularly when it comes from government, they control the Parliament. The
Yeah,
NAMs
but the
are theirs.
government, if you look at it, the Parliament is still very open to maneuvering. It's still very open to swinging the votes, because NPP had a team, okay, and NRP had
I think five.
four or five.
Yeah.
So
And
you
they are-
still,
they are
if
with
you
the
have, if
majority.
you put the independents together with the UDP and with the APRC NATO alliance, you still have a very good chance of swinging the Parliament on your way.
No, except
So, I
that
mean,
most
if
of
you
these
can
bills
build a
pass.
consensus.
Most of these bills pass on a simple majority.
Yes,
And
but
they have way beyond the simple majority one. The times you see Parliament swing from one to another, and most of the time they swing to their side, is when this concerns a bill that impacts them directly.
Yeah, but
the NAMs.
we have instances where the Parliament held the executive to account
Yeah.
in a way that even UDP was not. So, for example, the Russian oil scandal investigation was led by NRP.
Exactly.
NRP members,
Yeah.
Which is a member of NPP coalition.
Yes.
You have
Which we applauded.
Which you have the Jame asset investigation also,
Yeah.
which came through the NPP, even though it's also indicting the government
Yes.
in a strong way.
Yes.
So there is the Parliament is still open to, should I say, if there is an efficient control of party powers, parties' policies, and parties' control of their lawmakers, Parliament is still open to doing good job.
You see, I'm glad you mentioned those two cases, but these are the exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
The Russian oil scandal came through NPP-affiliated NAMs, and they did a fantastic job of it.
Yeah, and Samba and Seni actually, not just that limited to that. They are one of the most critical.
They are much more independent.
Anti-corruption lawmakers in that Parliament.
Yes.
And they're not from UDP.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we applaud them for that. I mentioned them a couple of times in the programs I had, and that's what we need. It doesn't have to be only UDP. Most of the time when these things come, fighting corruption, raising a voice against it, is coming from the UDP most of the time. Our NAMs are the ones who come up with it. And when they commit even private member bills, they are voted out, even though the other NAMs know that this is good. But government doesn't want it, so they're being voted out.
But do you not think
so the Russian scandal,
it's an inability to build consensus? Because like I said, this Parliament is still super open. It's
not that open, no. To build a consensus, you need people on the other side to be willing to work with you.
Exactly.
It takes two
but
to
the
tango.
Parliament is super open right now.
It takes two to tango.
Yes.
Our people come with private member bills to introduce, to have changes in this system.
Yeah.
But the NPP
but there were
affiliated.
Only two of such cases, I think.
No, the only one that went through was the.
You had the Public Order Act one.
It was thrown out.
Yes,
Yeah.
but and the second one, I think,
The rent bill by Madi
yes, by
Cisse,
Madi Cisse,
that
yes.
was the only one that went through.
Yeah.
All the other ones, Suleiman Saho brought in one. Who was it? There were 3 other bills which were brought in by private names, and they systematically thrown out because NPP didn't want it. So Parliament is not as open as that. These cases you have mentioned, those are the exceptions to the rule. Okay, so most of the time the voting is on party lines, and NPP systematically has blocked everything that they think could be uh, adversarial to their members.
Okay, let's look at the issue of alternatives. I mean, of course, UDP is one of Gambia's legacy parties. When I say legacy parties, I mean long-standing parties that have had impact on the Gambian political environment for a very long time. And you also form part of the formation of the coalition 2016. In other words, you were probably the most instrumental, one of the most instrumental. But I mean, there are a lot of critics who also looks at the UDP and points at and says, well, when you were a part of the government, these things were still prevailing. The circumstances didn't change much.
Yeah,
At all.
UDP is not exempt of reproach. I don't pretend that UDC is perfect. No, we are not. We are not. The mistakes were made in the past. And we are doing everything possible to make sure those mistakes don't happen again. But you have to bear in mind as well that when we were there, we were part of that coalition. So you cannot be, bulldozing everything and just want to maintain a coalition. So there's a certain level of compromise that was also taking place, because you have to be mindful of the other people in the coalition. That created a lot of mistakes, which should not have happened.
But there was a time when you were
and we
essentially
controlled the
in a
majority.
coalition, you were essentially
Yes, we controlled parliament.
the de facto, not just controlling the parliament, you were the de facto government.
No,
I mean,
no. You cannot say that.
You were hand in glove with Barrow, and everything was okay from 2017 to 2019.
To 2018.
To 2018,
Yeah.
and even the beginning of 2019.
No.
Because everything fell apart in June 2019.
The problem started in early 2018.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I know there was a problem festering
Yes.
underneath. I
Yeah.
even wrote about it on my blog at the
Okay.
time,
Yeah.
Touch on Gambia. But the point is, I mean, I'm a political reporter.
Yeah.
Until now.
And, exactly.
Okay?
And you've been following this.
Yeah,
things,
so I know there was a tension at some point.
Yeah.
Starting from the beginning of the formation of the Barrow Youth Empowerment.
Yes.
But any time before that, there was cohesion.
Yes, there was.
And Barrow was swinging everything on UDP's favor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and even your contest for the parliament, it did so because the success was so much because Barrow was swinging everything on UDP's favor.
Everything is saying too much, yeah. But yes, UDP had control of parliament and had a strong say. But at the time, as I said, yes, some mistakes were made. But a lot of it partly was also being mindful of a coalition you had, which you have to be careful to satisfy everybody more or less and to share things. That did happen. But this lasted for a very short time. And Barrow took control with the people who came in, to boot out UDP and take control of Barrow and the government. That's we started having the state capture. That's when Ahmad Ba and Fabakary Tombonjata came in and they started co-opting all the APRC people into the government. And they took control of the government. This happened very early
it happened very early, but that happened much later, somewhere around 2019. But that's also after Barrow and UDP fell out.
That was from 2018. That was what led to the fallout, actually.
Yeah.
It was from 2018 that this thing started.
But that's because Barrow also saw it coming that Barrow wanted to stay, and he doesn't think UDP is keen on allowing him to stay.
Part of the staying was the staying was part of the problem, but the other part was Barrow was going rogue in terms of management of the resources and the things he was bringing in. That was created a part of the problem. For example, when he wanted to build bureaus for the UDP, and he was asked where's the money coming from, and he wouldn't say. So that's what created a problem.
But those were all part of his machination.
Yes,
those
exactly.
To control the party because he wanted to stay.
Yes, those were part of it, and those things started coming up. And that in itself is still Barrow being Barrow, because he came in with the understanding that he was going to stay 3 years, he became 5 years, etc. So he was supposed to have gone then, but instead he started taking initiatives to control the party so he can stay and do what he's doing now. And the UDP refused him that. He set up his youth movement and what have you, and then he ended up with the NPP. So he started subverting the agreement from very early. That's where the problems came from.
But do you not think, though, that Barrow's shadow still is still cast over the UDP. In other words, still haunts the UDP. In
No,
other words,
no,
some of the
no.
mistakes the UDP has made back in 2016 still haunts the UDP.
Yes, we made a mistake in 2016 by proposing him instead of somebody else. And that is partly because UDP also did have people who stepped forward when Hussein was in prison to take over, to lead the party.
But was that the
So
mistake, or was the mistake after President Barrow came to power? Because the changing Jame,
it's a
one would
change.
have argued, was a good thing. I mean, in any case, Barrow seems to be much better than Jame, maybe.
Oh,
I mean,
obviously, yeah, when he came to power, absolutely, absolutely.
or do
But
you still not think Barrow is better than Jame, even
no,
right now?
right now, no. At the beginning, yes.
You don't think he's better than
Currently,
Jame? Yes.
is you kidding me? It's not. It's not. The corruption today is far more than what it was under Jammeh.
Is that the case, or is
And
it just that because Barrow
more is
leads a
being reported.
democratic? Yes.
No, more is being reported, certainly.
Yes.
But the corruption is festering all across the administration.
But it was under Jammeh as well.
Under Jammeh, it was essentially Jammeh wreaking havoc, and people were getting the crumbs falling from his table.
Yeah.
Today is everybody, it's a free for all.
But what Jammeh dared to do, Barrow couldn't even, like today I can confront Barrow. I have done stories linking State House to corruption.
Yes.
If I do that under Jammeh, I will publish it in Senegal.
Yeah. Or probably we should publish whilst we're in the grave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those things happen. Yes, that's true.
So you don't think Jammeh is...
But is because the Gambians fought for that. You see, the mistake people often make is that, Barrow did this. No, Barrow didn't do that. The Gambians fought for that and got themselves those rights back.
I understand.
Okay? What I'm saying is, under Jammeh, there was state capture, but by Jammeh and just a couple of people around him who got away with some of the things. Most of the time it was Jammeh, and the crumbs that fell from his table were what went to the other people. Today is all across the government. Corruption is festering,
but
it's widespread.
It was still, under Jammeh, you had a whole team of mafia surrounding him, the bases.
Yes.
Everybody surrounding him. And they had their businesses. They were profiting from state enterprises. And
that's why I said the crumbs that fell from Barrow's table, Jammeh's table, the bases and the rest were getting what Jammeh allowed them to take at that time. The bulk of the loot went to Jammeh. Today, everybody is a capo in their own sense, in the mafia sense of the word. You can do whatever you like, more or less.
You don't think we currently have, considering the fact that now there is a strong tradition of investigative journalism, there is a parliament.
Thanks to you guys, because even that is very limited.
Yeah, it's limited, but it's existing.
Yeah.
And under Jammeh, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
I was here. Even under the impasse, I had to leave my house and go somewhere else.
Yes.
And a lot of my colleagues did the same.
Okay. Yeah.
It's in terms of the ability of the political parties and the individuals to now push the boundaries. It seems to be incredibly. There seems to be a vast land between Jammeh and Barrow.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, thank God that has existed, because the Gambians fought for that and imposed it.
Yeah.
Okay?
But you can't divorce Barrow from that. Even if he did nothing, even if it's an accident under him.
It's not an accident.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that credit for that cannot go to Barrow.
Yeah.
Credit for that goes to the Gambian people who fought for it and who are fighting today to maintain that.
And the coalition.
Yes, the coalition part of the Gambian people.
Yeah.
So this is what brought in that change, and people are still fighting to maintain that change, and Barrow is doing everything to take us back to where we were. And the people are fighting to make sure it doesn't happen again, because the never again slogan has to mean something. So this is happening. Yes, there is a lot of change now. Yes, we can talk about things now and go to sleep at home. And we will maintain it that way, because that is our fundamental right.
But are you the one maintaining that, or is that?
You think if Barrow had his way, he wouldn't be clamping down on that freedom of expression? He would. He's been trying to arrest people. He's been trying to intimidate people, and we see.
Or even establishing jungles, you think?
Yeah.
And that seems to be very far away from where we are currently.
We are currently not at that point, but because it's Gambian people are fighting to maintain sanity in the system. If we were to fold our arms and be complacent like we were under Jammeh and let him grow into a monster, the same thing would have happened today.
That's actually the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that, okay, you know, we have a default, okay, and the default is the status quo, okay. Jammeh took the state away from the default, and he was killing. He was doing things that state is not supposed to do. Yes.
Or too scared to move.
Yes. So under Barrow, we came back to the default. And Barrow didn't seem to depart from the default.
Look, today, what we are seeing and what the governments are fighting, when Barrow comes out and tells you, looks at his people and say, don't be scared. You are the government. Go fight back if anybody touches you, and we are here to defend you. Isn't he trying to bring back that sort of state terror? When Barrow stands there and sees his people building on what will be the beginnings of division to tribal rhetoric, and he sits there, he says nothing, and he applauds and laughs with them.
But tribal rhetoric does come from all sides, including UDP.
No. See,
I mean, some of your supporters, they do make tribal rhetoric.
You see, these are the people who are in the fringes, who are on social media in the fringes. You cannot name one person in the UDP structures.
If you check the last year or around the elections, Malagan's hate speech, dangerous speech alerts, even Hussein was flagged one time. I mean, Barrow is more flagged.
About what?
NPP about dangerous speech. Yeah,
I can't remember that. But if he did, if he did, which I didn't see. But if he did, he said once he was. But under Barrow, you see his ministers go out constantly under his watch. Talk about tribe, talk about ethnic divisions, and talk about people being thrown out of this country. And he was sitting on that podium. Even Jammeh, when once Fatoumata Jahumpa Sise made a sort of remark, he sent her back to Banjul. But Barrow would be sitting on the podium with these people, and they would be spewing that kind of hate speech, and he would just laugh and and applaud, etc. That shouldn't happen. I have not seen anybody go to a podium with UDP and a UDP meeting and say something like that, even without Dabo's presence. You say it in front of us, we will call you out, because we cannot accept that. People on social media and the fringes would say things that we disagree with. A number of times, we went out to get those people. There was a case just of the 2021 election, somebody in Busumbala who said we should take up arms. And we hunted him down and handed him over to the police, because we do not want chaos in this country. Another case where a woman went out and said a whole lot of horrible things. We hunted her down. It happened to be
Sumares. That's the dangerous speech I was talking about. This is done by Keba Jeffon. This must have been it's a comment about Sarahules. This must have been 2021, somewhere around before the elections.
Yeah, if I
remember somewhere
that,
URL.
If I remember that was a case when I think it
But
was.
there were a number of incidents. I'm not necessarily because Madi and I have done a special session on issue of tribal politics in the Gambia. I mean, we know tribal politics is utilized by politicians, sort of to gather votes.
Politicians start to use it,
it's being as old as Jawara's days.
Yes, but that doesn't make it right.
Yeah,
and
I know, but it's existent, and it's utilized by many political
Well,
players.
I can tell you for a fact that we are
Not
fighting it.
exclusive to NPP.
We are fighting it, and even our members, every now and then, we call even those guys who claim to be UDP, who are on social media, who do this sort of thing, we call them and say, is it true you are with us? Because if you are with us, stop this thing. This is not helping anybody in the country. We do not want a country where we are at each other's throats, where we're going to be fighting on the basis of tribe. Let's fight on the basis of ideas for developing this country. We call them. We call them. A number of times Hussein Dabo asked me to call ABCD, and I call them, and we talk. And we convince them to do this.
All right.
But within the party, I don't think anybody can point to one person within our ranks and our structures to say he said this about tribe. No, we fight that. Because we believe that this country belongs to all its tribes, and we should make that difference an asset, not a dividing factor.
Now, when you look at the status quo right now, we will come to UDP's issues, but just one thing before we get to that. What do you think is more urgent that the UDP would present as an alternative if it has the State House? Number one, Marina Parade.
Yes, the first thing.
It's quite a place to get inside.
Yes, it is, and we will be there in 2017.
Well,
we will be there.
It's a very tough fight.
Oh yes, we know
because
that.
Barrow is putting up a very formidable force.
He is, and he is building a war chest for that with the support of all his
not,
cronies.
He has not been silent on it.
No, and he said he's prepared to die than lose that position.
Well, maybe that's lost in translation or something.
No. He said it's...
All right, so anyway, let's look at the alternative.
Yes, when we come to power, some of the things we would do, one would be immediately blocking all the loopholes for the corruption, because we have to safeguard the state's resources. Without those resources, we cannot do any meaningful development.
But we already have, let me just get in there. We already have most of the institutional structures are there.
Yes.
The only probably thing the government is not doing is punishing corruption. It's not just being serious about it.
See, you don't wait for corruption to happen and punish it. You prevent it.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing. Prevent it from happening. And take the example of Brikama Area Council. When Yankuba Dabo came, it was rampant. In a short while, he managed to stop that corruption almost entirely. Not entirely, you cannot do it entirely, corruption. You cannot stop
we
it
don't
completely.
know for sure. I mean, I've not read any audit yet.
The audits will come. But you can see that in 100 days, he paid back a loan of $10 million that was pending just by blocking the loopholes. He was unable to collect enough revenue to pay back a $10 million loan. It was the debt that was hanging on. He paid that off.
Yeah.
He managed to put enough money aside to do the development works he did and distribute 14 million to the wards. And last year, this year, 28 million. So the money was there. It just was going down into some rabbit hole somewhere. So he stopped that. So you stop it instead of fighting it afterwards and punishing. Don't wait for it to happen to punish. You stop it from happening. And UDP will do that. So we will also review the budget priorities, because the next budget is the only one NPP is going to implement. The 2027 budget, they will adopt it, but we will review it when we come to power. You get the priorities right. You reallocate resources to the priority areas, including youth. Our youth are being sacrificed everywhere.
Well, I look at that and
let me give you a few examples. If you reprioritize the budget, you cut all the fat that is in the Ministry of Finance to start with. They have $2.4 billion for Ministry of Finance. To do what? You have 2.2 almost, for Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Defense, etc. Reprioritize, reallocate those resources to the priority sectors, including, first of all, agriculture, where we work towards food sovereignty. So the amount of money in excess of $200 million we spend every year to buy the basic food commodities, we can reinvest that in the country by import substitution. You reallocate part of that to the education of our kids. We are producing high school and university graduates that are unemployable. So redirect that to make people a lot more productive and give them educational systems that will make them either employable or self-employed. Okay? Work towards building our medical facilities. Okay? These are some of the key areas we will be working on. But especially we will be working towards making the state-owned enterprises profitable, where they can pay dividends to the state, which will be used for more development work. That will allow us to cut down the tax rates. Because today what is happening? The tax rates are just going up and up and up, and the tax base is shrinking.
All of these issues are fundamentally things that even Barrow have talked about before. Let's say,
but he never implemented them.
But let's say not even Barrow as in Barrow, but government talks about these things every day. So one of the problems I have found in the Gambia is not lack of knowledge.
No,
it's lack of the will to do something.
There you go.
And even in the UDP, you do have that tendency to everywhere. You have Gambians have that tendency to protect each other. Sort of, if your brother is corrupt, you seal them. And that's what prevents implementation of certain strict policies.
No, because to be fair to us, we've been saying all along we are zero tolerance for corruption. They bring
Yeah,
up this
I
local.
know, but
They bring up.
for
Let
example,
me
when
give you
UDP
local
was
government commission.
yeah,
It's just been thrown into our face every time.
yes.
And we say we will wait for the report to come out. When they come out, anybody who has been found guilty of any wrongdoing, we will not support you.
Yeah, but
We will not stick our necks out for you.
there are strong allegations that are already apparent out in the public space about some of your members.
Like what?
Coming out of the commission.
Yes.
Or you do not
No,
certainly take any position on those.
No, we do. And what we say
Initially,
for the moment,
UDP's position was that this is a witch hunt.
Initially, that's how it started. But it started unearthing a lot of things. Now, at this point, it's still at the investigative phase.
Yeah, but the fact that
So
the
let's
natural
wait.
instinct was witch hunt shows that there is still the tendency to push accountability for another day.
But you realize that how it started. Barrow tried to get rid of Talib and Yankuba, because these were the two regional offices where they made a lot of money and finance their political activities. He tried to get rid of them so that we can control those resources and continue to finance their activities. And he could not. We beat him fairly and squarely in those two areas. And he thought the best way to get rid of them now is start a commission where I can, accuse them of something and then have them banned. And that was the objective at the beginning. And that's how it all started. Now, when they started, we saw a lot of things coming out in a number of places. And we see, yes, things are coming out, but let's wait for the end of the investigation because still it's at the investigative level and you don't know, is still evidence being brought forward. There's no adjudication. And until that point, whoever is involved is presumed innocent until they are finally proven guilty. So, yes, we have seen a lot of things come out of KMC.
So UDP will indeed begin to distance itself from people who are corrupt. Because I mean, you don't have that history. You have celebrated Momodu Sabali. You guys he was probably one of the closest people to Usenu. He was made campaign manager. You celebrated him. Sabali, according to Jane Commission, was complicit in one of the biggest theft of this country's resources.
Yes, and that was a mistake.
And you probably would still welcome him if he comes back.
I don't think so.
But Usenu did make a statement that yes, when I see Sabali, he's going to come back. So he didn't give up on him.
No. You say that's a figure of speech. Because we know what happened there. And we know, look, Sabali came and he did seem to have recognized his mistakes and was trying to reform. And he was given an opportunity in the party. Some didn't like it.
But you didn't just give him an opportunity. You made him a campaign manager. Essentially, Sabali was, and he was called Baba's commando. Sabali was at Usienu's house every Friday. He was de facto face of the political party. In fact, he was representing Usienu at places. I mean,
a number of people represented Usienu at places.
Yes,
but he was a lot more high profile.
But this was so much for somebody, for a party that professed to stand for accountability. And it's such a contradiction to have a face in someone who is Jammeh's eyed-in-chief in corruption.
Yeah.
Or one of Jammeh's eyed-in-chief in corruption.
You see, I said there were mistakes made in the party and we do recognize our mistakes.
But there seem to be, with UDP, there seem to be a lot of mistakes.
No. Don't make it sound like that. It's not correct. No.
It's not just Sabali. There are tons of people who came. There are individuals who came very close to UDP who have partake in questionable activities. It's not just NPP. I mean, of course, we've seen Barrow also doing the same thing. But UDP is also doing the same thing.
If you think that anybody who at one point or another worked with Jammeh cannot partake in any more activity in this country, half of the country would be gone.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Because people were there. When you have a more or less de facto one-party state and people are in there because they have to survive.
Yeah.
They did everything to survive.
I understand that.
So we cannot just say
in some of the cases, some of those like people like Sabali are clear in the line that they aided and abetted massive theft of public resources.
Yes.
And he came in the UDP, and UDP supported, and until he left then things don't really around.
You see, because people do reform, and you have to accept that as well.
Yeah.
People make mistakes and they do reform, and then you have to give them a second
So
chance.
would you agree that Barrow also accepts Sabali because Sabali reforms?
No, when he left, we said it is his fundamental democratic right to go back and and do something different. He was with us. We accepted him. We thought he had reformed himself and he was doing something good for himself and his family and the country.
When
Fine.
you were there
And when
was
he
there
left,
was a working contradiction
like
because you endorsed Jana Commission report and at the same time held on to somebody who represents everything opposite to that.
this is the first time actually in any debate I'm talking about Sabali. I don't usually accept to talk about him. Okay, when Sabali came to the party, it was understood that he had found a new way for himself, and he was willing to reform and willing to do the right thing, and he stood up against corruption. He was a very strong voice against corruption.
Yes, but he was still criticizing Jana Commission vehemently and
Yes, and Jana Commission wasn't perfect either. Things did go wrong.
I know.
We do know that. So,
in fact, my
yeah.
story was about
Okay,
that.
okay.
But then,
So,
I'm not saying Jana Commission
I'm not
was
saying
perfect.
Sabali was right in all that he did. What I'm saying is some of the things he criticized, for example, Jana Commission, there were things that went wrong.
Yes.
Some of the things he was saying about corruption with the Barrow, this is what we also were saying.
Yeah.
So for us, this is somebody who has made mistakes in the past and who has taken steps to redeem himself. You cannot throw everybody who made a mistake to the dogs. People make mistakes and they reform and they come back. That's what prisons are all supposed to be about. Prisons are supposed to reform people. Excuse me for that. People reformed, get reformed in prisons because it's rehabilitation. He was put through a lot during the Jammeh time as well. So he could have at that point learned his mistakes and come back and reform. And now he was fighting corruption. He was fighting mismanagement and embezzlement. We can only support that because that's what we stand for. Now, if he comes to join us and then he goes, yes, we will support him because he is supporting and fighting against the things we are fighting. So for us at that point, we were partners. Now, if he decides to go back to the people he was accusing of corruption and to join them, that's a different ballgame. But when you come to us...
Because that's the person you welcome.
Yeah, and who we thought had reformed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people do make mistakes and reform. We all do.
But
God himself
you expect that
no, God himself says, don't despair about my mercy.
Yeah.
You can be the biggest sinner.
Yeah.
If you repent, he will forgive you.
Yes.
So we too should be able to understand that people do make mistakes and repent and reform and rehabilitate themselves.
The reason why I picked this case, I was just trying to show that there is a tendency.
If he goes back,
that comes to only Barrow, but there is a tendency in Gambia that people tend to be lenient too much on corruption. Seems to be acceptable,
and it should not.
Yes, but that's the case. But it should not. But it seems to be acceptable, and that's also a culture that cuts across, political parties.
No, and that's why I'm pushing back on what you're saying because UDP, we have had people who were involved in things with Jammeh who came to UDP because we believe that they have reformed and they have got better, and they are fighting the things we are fighting. So we said yes, they made mistakes, but they have reformed themselves, and let's work with them. They can take us to where we want to get because they know what it's all about and they are fighting it with us, so let's do it. Now, if they turn and go back to where they came from, which they were fighting, that's when your example of fish living in water comes back. Because yes, they have been used to that and they thought they can live on land and then they go back to well, they become fish again. So they are becoming mammals or amphibians. But if they go back to being, fish, they have to go back to the water.
So let's shift the conversation a little bit more. I mean, there is not a bigger ambition for the UDP than to get to Marina Parade, number one Marina Parade.
No, that's not an ambition. That's a means to an end.
It's a means to an end. Of course, I know you want I mean, you have a goal that but you want to achieve. You want to achieve.
Yes, we want to achieve that because that's
You
what allows
cannot
us to
implement
do.
your programs if you are not a number one.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the ambition is to turn this country around and make it better for all the
Yes.
Gambians.
So
going to Marina Parade is the means to do that.
yes,
It's not the end.
Yeah, it's not the end. It's the means. Yes, but you want to achieve the means first.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
So
we need
if
that.
you don't achieve the means, you can't.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my goal. That's my point. And you cannot do that with the vehicle for that is United Democratic Party.
Yes.
And recently, I mean, we've seen your party had how do you call it?
A flag bearer election.
Yes, elections. Flag bearer is selected. Alive Senu came on top with 10 candidates.
10 other candidates.
Yeah.
And then one dropped out, so it was 11 in all.
It was 11,
yeah.
And then
Talib
10 including Usenu.
Yes. No, 10 and Usenu, making it 11 initially,
yes.
And then Talib dropped
out.
It became 10, including Usenu, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and then Usenu came on top, right? And after that, the election atmosphere was pretty controversial. I mean, there were controversial in the sense that I mean, you could see there were a number of people who are resigning from the party saying that they didn't subscribe to, they do not think that Usenu represents the voice of reason, as it were.
Well,
you are not reading resignation letters.
I am, but what I'm saying is that is not because the elections were controversial. The elections.
No, not the election. I'm talking about the event itself.
Now, what they are saying,
aftermath, yes.
What they are saying, in effect, that they cannot accept the will of the people, the choice of the people. They cannot accept. That's what it is all about.
No, they are not saying they cannot accept the choice of the people. The argument goes further than that. They are saying you have chosen a product that is not marketable. So in other words, we need to change the product.
That is their opinion.
Yeah, that's their opinion, but it's never an opinion held by somebody from within.
Yes.
So it's it's an observation of a person who is within.
Because we're a democratic institution, we allow expression of interest. There is not a unicity of thought in the UDP. What more can we do? We call for expression of interest for people who want to run as party leader. So 11 people applied, and they went through a rigorous vetting process, which was controlled by the IEC, not even by UDP. We didn't control those elections. We brought in IEC to run the elections, so that nobody will accuse anybody of favoritism or election rigging or whatever. So IEC conducted this process. So people went out there. They were asked to bring a write-up, one for their expression of interest to lead the party, two, a program that they're going to implement for the first 100 days and beyond. So you say, make it short, 5 pages at max. So they did that. They were interviewed on the basis of that. And then we went into the country to seek the opinion of the voters, the grassroots people. We put all of that together, we came. And the party had its rules that you had to have 70% at least in each of those ratings, the interview and the consultations, to be able to go to the final phase. And the top 3 will go into the final phase if there are more than 3.
Yeah.
We had all of those rules. And we went to the consultations. Usenu scored 97-point-something% in the interview. And we went to and some people scored 80, some scored 70, etc. In all, I think about 5 or 6 scored beyond the cutoff mark of 70 for the interview, which was very good. It means we have quality people out there.
Usenu scored the same margin Kagame would score in Rwanda.
No. You see, no. That's not it. Kagame would score that for an election in the population. Yeah. This was like an interview or an exam. An exam you can score 99%.
Yeah, but also the part of the interview was based on the opinion of individuals in the party, right?
No, it was based on objective criteria we defined. Criteria.
I know. One, it's examination. But the other is opinion collection of
other people scored 80% plus. So, it just talks to the quality of the candidates we had to respond to those. You bring your program. And what we say, don't bring us programs which are just not acceptable, which is definitely not going to happen. You come, you tell me you're going to build a bridge across the Banjul Barra crossing in 100 days. We'll tell you, are you serious? So bring us programs that are acceptable, that are credible, and defend them. That's what they did.
And you were part of the people who were verified, who were.
No, I was not on the.
You were on the central committee.
I'm the central committee, but the central committee selected 11 people.
Yes.
The chair of the selection committee is the national president Aji Amunda Yabo.
Yes.
And they selected 10 other people plus her to be on the vetting committee. Okay, and I was not part of that. So it's this vetting committee that conducted the interviews of the candidates. Okay.
Who leads the vetting committee?
Sorry?
Who was the head of the vetting committee?
Aji Amunda Yabo. And then you had Alaji S. Davo, you had Haji Swane, you had Zainab Ghanim, and a few others, 11 people in all. They conducted the interviews. And nobody complained about those interviews because they were very well done, etc., and they were rated.
Talib was also interviewed?
Yes, he was interviewed.
He was tapped out after the interview?
After the interview, yes. And after the interview, our policies are that the National Executive and Central Committee should not be the only one selecting, because then there could be some bias, and they could be accused of that. Okay, even though it has not been. But to make sure that it doesn't happen, that we go consult the grassroots as well. Get there, because these are the people who are going to vote. So you go consult them. We were elected by the grassroots, but we still thought they should also be part of this process. So we go to consult them as well and get their opinion on what should be done. So they also rate the candidates, and we bring that back. The vetting committee went around the country in all the 7 regions plus Banjul and came with the results. People are consulted from the ward to the constituency to the regional level. They came with the results and compiled them so that they choose who they want to be their candidate. That was compiled. And for us, in either of those two phases, every candidate who's going to the last phase of the selection should have at least 70%, because we have set the bar very high. In the first phase, the interview, I think 6 or so got over 70%, and they were qualified to go to the last phase. In the grassroots consultations, for people to say who they prefer, who they like, who they want, who they think is credible, etc., we selected a whole series of 5 series of questions. So they rated them on the basis of that. And in that, the rating that came from the grassroots is that Hussein was top. He got 98%.
Yeah.
That's the choice of the people there. Now, the others, nobody else got 70%. We could have stopped it there and said, this is it. He's the only one who met the criteria of selection in the 2 phases. You need to get 70% in both cases. He's the only one who got 70% in both cases. We could have just stopped it there and said, then declared him winner.
And then fast forward, he won.
But we didn't.
Yeah.
We said we have to nurture democracy in this country. We have to give everybody a fighting chance. Even though the others did not qualify, let's pick the top 2 among those who did not qualify, who didn't get the 70% in that betting in the countryside. So those were Amadou Sane and Bori Toure. So they were qualified as well. We qualified them to join Hussein. So instead of just declaring him winner, we brought 2 other people to give them a chance still.
But the fact that natural process, nobody could have just get a chance is not a red flag that basically Hussein is on a league of his own as far as UDP is concerned. And
well, he is in a league of his own.
Contest against him.
No, it was fairly contested. It's just that the people, it's the
you
people's
are
choice.
In the situation of Uganda or
that's not
Kagame situation of
not
Rwanda.
Fair. That's not fair. That's not fair.
But nobody could run against Hussein because, like you said yourself, nobody. In fact, even after your process is complete, nobody was just qualified. Only Hussein was.
Yeah, because he is the choice of
the people. So the election was just staged for the sake of it because nobody was qualified.
No, you cannot say that. That would not be fair. But the elections took place in the open and everybody to see.
I understand. But nobody in itself was qualified other than Hussein.
Nobody made the cutoff mark.
Yes, that's what
I'm saying.
And
the cutoff mark we set the bar very high because UDP a lot is expected of us. Mustafa, we are the only party in this country who goes through this rigorous process.
Yes,
to
select. Don't deny that. That's not the point. I don't deny that.
And what I want to say is that the choice comes from the electorate.
I
So
understand.
if the electorate choose that, you cannot blame Ousseynou for that.
No, I'm not blaming Ousseynou for that.
No.
I am saying, I'm looking at the opinion of others who are saying, at this point, Ousseynou should call it off. Ousseynou should let go, right?
Well, that is their opinion.
No,
And they're a
I'm
minority.
looking at and I am holding a breath for them, and I'm telling you, Ousseynou could not fairly contest with anybody in UDP.
So he should step down.
No, I'm not saying he should. No, that's not my point, because I'm not a player in UDP. I'm saying.
No, I know you are not saying that. You are repeating what the other people are saying.
That it seems to be a statement of fact that Ousseynou could not fairly contest with anybody in UDP. Whether or not you have a vision better than Ousseynou.
Statement of fact, no. If you had a better vision, you probably would have pulled it off.
Yeah, but in the grassroots where you campaign, for example, the others weren't going around to present their visions to the grassroots. You went around to ask the grassroots.
Of course they were. Talib was going around all the time. You all saw that.
Know. Yes, but that was not, and they were not going around to present an alternative view designed by themselves. They were going to represent the UDP.
Yes, they were going to represent the UDP.
The same all the others who contest Amadou Sane, when he's going around, he's not going around on his own.
Amadou Sane didn't go around because Amadou Sane wasn't part of the campaign and organizing committee.
But he always goes around with the UDP. So
we all do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Yankuba does.
Yeah.
But none of these people, whether it's Yankuba, Lamin, Sane, Landing, and had presented an alternative view by themselves to the voters. So everyone, including you, Yankuba, all the potential leaders of the UDP, Landing, Sane, Lamin, Sane, Yankuba, you cannot begin to count them. All of them. They've spent their entire lives, every minute of their time, to sell Ousseynou to the voters. Right? And now, that's Ousseinou's messenger now comes to tell the voter, choose me and leave this other person I've been campaigning for.
Okay.
That doesn't seem fair.
Okay, let's put it this way. Everywhere around the world, when you have a leader, and you fall in behind that leader in his party, it's because you believe in him and his policies. So when you go campaign, I don't go campaign and say, yeah, I support Ousseynou, but I think you should vote for me, Lamin, because of this and that. No,
exactly.
Ousseynou sells the party policies, and he is the face of the party.
And you sell Ousseynou.
So when I go there, because I believe in Ousseynou and what he's saying and what he has endorsed what the party's policies are, so I go and campaign for Ousseynou because he's the face of the party and the party policies. Just allow me to land on this because this is important to me. I support Ousseynou because Ousseynou has endorsed the party policies and he has been the personification of that.
Yes.
And he is there every day doing what we want him to do. So I go campaign for him and I say, yes, I believe in Ousseynou. Yes, I believe in what he wants to do for this country because these are the things we define as a party and he is going around trying to implement that at his own risk and peril and everything else.
Yes.
But he's been doing that. So yes, I support him and this is what I think we should be doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when the time comes now for elections.
Even before this recent election.
Can I just give me a second? I'm sorry to interrupt you. But when the time comes now for selection of candidates, if I were running against him, at that point, I would have developed my own policies and go and say, yes, Ousseynou stands for this or that, and I believe in that same as well, but I would do it this way, I would do it differently, I would come with my own strategy and my own policies. And that's what the candidates did this time around.
There is no chance for
yes, there is a chance.
For that.
You can say that he has been the one who has been the face of the party, so he has a better chance than anybody else.
Not just a better chance.
Okay.
In fact, there was no time for all the people who ran against Ousseynou to do a proper campaign before the event.
But you know that in every government, anywhere, anybody who's in the government, you subscribe to the policy of the government and you campaign for the government. If you don't want to do that, you want to run for yourself, then you leave the party and you go start your own faction somewhere and do something different.
No, that's not my point. My point is, if you currently have, okay, let's say, for example, had Yankuba wanted to run, or you, or like the same way like Amadou, like Suleiman, like Talib, like all the others who ran. These are probably the most prominent political players. You could even say Amadou was everywhere Hussein was.
Yeah.
Okay, but even Amadou's grip on UDP pales, probably 50% or more.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Exactly. So
Compared to
if
Hussein.
so if you want to now, if you want Amadou to fairly contest Hussein, you should give Amadou adequate time to design his own campaign models and challenge Hussein at the grassroots before you send people going around at the grassroots and determine.
No, but it never happens like that anywhere. Check our neighbors here, Senegal, right? Macky Sall was Ward's campaign manager and organizing secretary for almost a decade. And he went on and campaigned for Ward all along. The day he wanted to pull out and stand on his own, he formed his own party. He left PDS and formed his own party, RPS. And he went out there and started campaigning and sold himself to the party and to the fractions of the PDS party and to the national electorate. And he went on to win. We had the same thing in other presidents before him, with the Abdou the Senghor, etc. Okay, in the UDP, those who don't want to stand with UDP have left. They somewhere to borrow and form the NPP, etc. So they can go and form. But as long as you are in the UDP and you believe in the UDP, you can only campaign for UDP and its flag bearer and its chief and its chief. The day you want to stand and we think you cannot have enough time for that, you leave and go from your party or do whatever.
So you do not think the calls are legitimate that Hussein, it's about time Hussein goes? Maybe he's too tired.
No, the calls are legitimate from people who believe that's their opinion. It's not tired. It's not.
Yes,
I work with
5 elections before.
No, it's not 5 elections. It's the 5th one. It's going to be the 5th one. Yeah. So people tell you he's done 6. It's not 6. It's 4.
It's not 6. He's just he skipped 1.
One was boycotted. One was boycotted, and the other one Adam Barrow ran. So he ran for only 4, not 6. Okay. So what I'm saying is, I work with Hussein all the time. I've said this on I think Coffee Time or something. One day I told him, Munela secret. And he looked at me and said, why? I said, you wear me out. And he laughed, he said, multivitamins. I said, no, I think this is more than multivitamin. Do you have something, some weird or something like that? I give you one example. Hussein was coming from the UK in 2023. He went on a campaign fundraising thing with the diaspora there. He left his hotel at about 4 a.m. to go to Heathrow and leave to come to Dakar because we had something in Dakar that the following day. He left his hotel at 4 o'clock, went to Heathrow, flew to Dakar. We were supposed to meet him at the airport at 4 o'clock. We got late here and a lot of things. He got there 2 hours before we got there. He sat in the airport for 2 hours, reading and waiting for us, etc. We got there, no sign of impatience or anything. We drove with him to Dakar. We were so apologetic. He said, don't worry. We got to the hotel. We went to say, okay, he must be exhausted. Let's go get food for him. We went to get food. We brought it to him and said, look, you eat first. You've been traveling all day. You're tired. And it's 10 o'clock. You eat, and then we will, when hours come. He said, no, I'm not eating without you. We're all eating together. You're also tired. He said, no, but you're not. They refused. We had to take the food back and put it in the oven in the restaurant until it was finished. We came, we ate, we finished around midnight 30. We were all exhausted. We went to crash out. He went into his room. At 3:30 in the morning, I had noise. I went out to check with the guys. He's praying again. At 3:30, this man was up praying and doing his zikr and whatever. I said, but now, so he went to bed. He didn't go to bed again. So in the morning, we left and went to do what we did in Dakar. The whole day we were running in Dakar until about 4:35 p.m. And he was sitting there, no sign of fatigue or anything. And we drove back to the Gambia. We got to Kaula around midnight, and everybody was hungry. They wanted food. They wanted to get food. He said, I'm okay. But he paid for them to go get food. He sat in the car for half an hour. When they came with food, they were eating. He was sitting there. He was just chatting. Yeah. We got here at 4 in the morning. This guy, for 48 hours, he didn't sleep more than 5 hours.
Yeah, I understand that. But there are members of your party who do not share this enthusiasm.
Yes, they don't need to because they probably don't know him as much as I do. They
yes, but
I'm saying this to put it in context.
You are not going to be the only person who is going to vote for him.
No, certainly not. Certainly not. And that's
so
why...
So if you have folks who don't share your enthusiasm,
No,
you
I
probably
say,
need to listen to them.
not my objective analysis. It's not enthusiasm. I'm not enthusiastic of anybody. I'm very realistic. What I say these things because people who say, oh, he's too tired, he can't do this, I'm telling them, no, you're wrong. I have seen this with him. And I would go to his office here. At 10 o'clock, he's there. We would work until sometimes 6, 7 in the evening. He is sitting there working. In the office, work 8 hours. This man would work 10 hours in his office.
Yeah.
Surrounded by law books, and there are sometimes, he's doing his research.
Yeah.
He lives there, goes home, and continues working from home. So he has a capacity for work that most younger people don't even have.
No, I'm not talking about the age here.
And the intellectual prowess is still there. So don't tell me he is too tired, he can do this. No, he can do it better than most
let's
people.
look at the confidence after you vote Hussein, after you voted for Hussein, and you have folks who are leaving, not necessarily leaving the party for now. They have not decided that.
No, some have left the party.
Some have left the party, yes.
Yeah.
But some have also left their positions.
Yeah.
And it's apparent they are likely, and they seem to be on the way out.
Yeah.
I mean, Talib resigned from his position, and he probably would not have if he's not going to leave the party.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you say
that,
I cannot sell the candidate,
yeah.
Right now, I mean, you probably have no place in the party because everybody will be selling.
No, he has a place, but probably he has decided to go. He has a place, yes, but
I'm not saying he does not have a place. I'm saying if he is said, if he has said, he does not think that under the circumstances, Hussein would trust him to sell Hussein to the electorate as his organizing secretary, then that's an admission that I cannot sell the product.
Is that an admission of what he thinks is his deficiency in that area? Or is that an admission
it's
of
not
what
a deficiency because it's a job he has held before.
Hussein didn't say he cannot do this job,
No,
so he has to leave.
It's not Talib.
It's Talib saying, I don't think I can do this for whatever reason. That is for him to say.
Yeah.
But Hussein never said you cannot do this job, you have to leave.
No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is,
no, I understand what you're saying.
Now you have Talib left. Talib left his position. Your campaign manager left his position. Your diaspora media person left. Tombon Sedi left, who is also a media person here. I mean, you have folks leaving.
Yeah.
And apparently all of them say one thing in common. They are saying, we think Talib represents a better option. Whether or not this is the case, but
can I say something
it seems to be a crisis of confidence in Hussein.
Yes, can I say something here? These were the same people who, when Yankuba Dabo said, if Talib wins, I'm leaving, they all bashed him.
Yeah.
They said, you cannot say that. You can only say that anybody who wins, we will rally behind that person and go for the elections and win.
Yeah.
These were the same people who said it. But who today are telling us we can't stay because the people made a choice.
Because they are saying that.
So what they're saying in effect is, you choose Talib or we are gone. That is it.
Yeah, because
yet when Yankuba said the same thing, they bashed him.
But
so you cannot have your cake and eat it.
Before we get to that analysis, where do you think this leaves the UDP? I mean, right now, you considering your margin with Barrow, between you and Barrow, you need more people.
Okay.
Right? Well, you are leaving, but folks are leaving.
And folks are coming. Folks are coming.
We don't have data to show that yet.
Yeah.
But what we are seeing right now, and they are not just any people, they are big people. Campaign manager, organizing secretary.
You see, let me give you something. Barrow was the president of the country when he left the UDP.
Yes.
And he vowed to crush the EDP. He couldn't.
And but he did win the elections.
No, he did steal the elections.
We can come to that, but for now,
it's different. It's different.
Okay.
We all know what happened in 2021. And we compiled our case for that. We went to court, the court threw it out. And if the court had examined that and they had thrown our case out, you can say, well, you're making a case, the court has. But the court knew that what we put forward there, if they had examined that, would have had no choice but to declare the elections null and void.
The election results.
But that's going to be conjecture.
Yeah.
Okay? But we know that he did not win, and everybody who was here, so that when he won, it's like there was national mourning in this country. He couldn't even fill the stadium. to have his inauguration. You know what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's a matter for conjecture. We can agree or disagree.
Yeah.
But we who are working on the ground and recruiting people and bringing them in, we see what is coming into the party all the time. Okay, the people who left are part of a section of the party who wanted Talib as their candidate and who wanted Talib at all costs. They didn't go for the democratic choice. The choice was we go and have a selection, and whoever was selected becomes the flag bearer, and we move on. But for them, the choice was Talib or nothing.
Well, why do you think Talib opt out?
Talib
Because there were
will have
claims
to
also
explain
in the
that.
public. There is also a claim in the public space, and including folks who are very close to Talib, that there was some kind of an arrangement between Talib and Hussein way back in 2022 that this was going to be some transition or some kind of a handing over.
These are the allegations we've been hearing for so long. People who are going around and telling everybody, oh, Mr. Dabo is not going to run, so he's setting up Talib for the position, so you better get behind Talib. They were selling something to the people that was not true. Why didn't they bring out those things if they existed? It's just like when Barrow and people are saying, oh, Dabo signed the deportation agreement with the Germans. Dabo prevented this. None of it was true. But people are going around telling other people's stories. And when they went up country and said these things to the people, some people believed it, that Dabo was going to do that. And even within the party faithful here, in the executive, and some people are beginning to ask questions because Mr. Dabo is a very discreet person. And he would never humiliate anybody. He would never do. So, sometimes people tell me, no, look, you got to come out and talk about this and see where is. He just smiled, He didn't want to come down to that level. Dabo, as far as we know, has never made any promise to anybody. And we asked him, he said, no, he didn't do it.
But do you think,
if these people said he did, let them come out with the evidence.
Whether or not, let's forget about the potentials to choose Talib, because Talib is just one person in the
party,
in the executive, or one person in the list of the potentials UDP could choose. But do you not think that the argument that Usainu has had enough attempts and failed, and that he should just give chance to another person is relevant?
That is the opinion of a few people who say that. And
who
are very loud in social media and the rest. And I respect their opinion and their positions. That's only their opinion.
Do you not think it's relevant?
It is relevant, yes. Because in the sense that they make their opinion,
in the fact that,
but it's the UDP faithful who make that choice, not me, not them. If those people who are going to vote for us say this is our preferred candidate, and you think it's democratic to say no, we're not going to give it, we're going to give somebody else?
But Mr. Manneh, we know. Okay, let's see.
Democracy,
UDP selected Usainu.
Yeah.
In 2021.
Yes.
UDP faithfuls are behind Usainu in 2021. We are still unable to make him win in 2021. So UDP agreeing to Usainu leadership is not a proof he is going to get to State House. You need much more than that.
Two things.
Yeah.
One, Usainu did not lose that election, it was stolen from him.
But there is no evidence of that.
Yes, you can say that we have the evidence we submitted to Supreme Court, it refused to adjudicate on it.
No, I mean, but there is no smoking gun. There is no smoking gun. So like there is no, so for example,
there's no smoking gun. When we finished with the election results, we asked for the results to be published polling station by polling station. Even the election observers requested that. They refused to date.
Yes,
they refused to do that. We knew what happened in terms of distributing what they had in the system. We do not have 900,000, sorry?
The results published poll to poll, you mean?
Polling station by polling station, it's never done.
Your own members should have that.
We have it, that's what we submitted to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but I am saying there are many ways you can corroborate that, because there are a lot of national data.
Like what?
National data of individuals, village by village.
Yes. Yes.
So you can claim that data if you have a election number.
What we have in our election petition showed much less than the 900,000 the government was claiming. We said bring out the polling station results by polling station. so we can just verify it once and for all. They never did. They refused.
Well, you can, you
we
guys can still clean that data and have it published so that everybody see it.
The point I'm making is even if you publish it, the results are supposed to be adjudicated upon by the Supreme Court. If we publish that, they will say it's not true. We have 900 here. It's 900. We fail. It's our word against theirs.
No, but
it is the courts.
The investigations I publish are my words against the people, but I still indict them. And the government still acts because they cannot ignore the facts.
Because you are considered as an independent person, not politically aligned.
No, but Marx don't lie. If you are able, like let's say for example, you see in this country, every village has a data. It shouldn't be possible for anybody to register voters in any village more than the number there. And without knowing, for example, you can have pre-election organized data that can even project how many voters are in Salekenya right now.
I'm happy to hear you say these things.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example.
Yes.
Some of the election data that the government published as results, some of the border villages in the Kabada area and in CRR, etc. These border villages had about 150 to 200 people residing there. When we saw the results, and they turned out 2,000 plus for those villages. When we saw this, we said it's not possible. You know these villages. We went to Google Maps, we checked again, we counted the huts and the rest. We said not possible. And we went to the ground. In some cases, we went there and counted. They couldn't have had 2,000 people voting in those places.
Well, you need to clean
and
that
we put
data.
We put all of that in our petition.
It's been over 5 years. You could clean that data because there is also an explanation for a situation where many villages go to vote at the same village. So the fact that Salekenya, for example, Salekenya can have a voter population of 5,000 and still have a vote of, let's say, for example, 5,500. It's not in our case because we vote on our own, but villages do sometimes assemble to vote together.
In which case, the voter data would show that there are 550 people registered to vote in Salekenya.
Yeah. So, but if you have what the point I'm trying to drive at, if you have a smoking gun that the election is stolen, and this data is clean and is foolproof, you should take that to the task. Take the government. You should publish that. You should provide that evidence to the United Nations, that evidence to African Union, that evidence to ECOWAS to show the election is stolen.
You see,
I saw your election petition. I've reviewed the files, but I didn't see any such smoking gun.
You see, you're asking us to do what is for the government to do by publishing those data. These people are telling us we have an election roll of 900,000 people, and we say it's not true, it's not possible. And our data shows quite the opposite.
Yeah, but that's what
now
I'm
you're
saying.
asking us to clean the data. Yes, we probably could have done that. Yes, we don't have the resources to go into all of that.
But it should be simple. I mean, for example, let's look at village by village. Okay, right now we have actual election results from 1996 to date. So which means which means you as an economist who life is crunching the numbers and dealing with projections and all that, you of course you know that if you look at the data of an actual election results from 1996 to, you can project an average voter growth.
Yes.
And which means that if you...
And I guess you have seen those data as well, right?
Yeah, but if you plot from 1996 to 2021, you should be able to project unusual growth in voter population.
The modeling would show you that.
Yes. Right?
So
if you do that by village, and you come and also look at national data that are collected on each village. Let's say, for example, you have even the social protection is collecting data village by village, and they have age brackets. GBOS is collecting data village by village, and they have age brackets, which means you can also project voter population in each village and run it against IEC database. So it should not be possible that somebody could cheat you on voter registration, a party full of people who can crunch the numbers.
Yes, but the party has those people, and the wherewithal is what we need. That's why we're developing systems that we have today to be able to do those sort of things. We didn't have anything like that before in the party. Even our election monitoring system, we didn't have it. We had to develop those things from scratch. and we are working to do this. Look, you're talking of an opposition party that has to finance everything by itself, so you have to prioritize
And
sometimes.
UDP has no trouble having money.
Yes,
You
we
spent
do.
$30 million
Yes, we
last
did.
elections.
We did. We did. But we spent that on the election campaigning.
Yeah.
Outside election campaigning is a different ballgame. You see, we are the ones financing ourselves to do everything, so we have to prioritize. So there are some things we cannot do. Some of these tools, individual members pay for them from their pockets to have them developed. Because these are expensive things to do. And there are so many things to do, and so few people to do it with so few resources. So we have to prioritize. Because once we could do that sort of thing, we say, well, this costs money. And when we get that done, we're going to take that to who? Most of the Gambian population is not really interested in that sort of figures. So we have to prioritize what we do.
But to prove the election is stolen, the international community will be interested in your figures. If you
the international community is interested, and they have been talking to us, and trust me, when the observer missions come here and we discuss, it's different. And the government knows that. In fact, the last one we had, they didn't even turn up because of so many things. But I cannot talk about those things because they are supposed to be confidential, etc., and that sort of thing. But I know, I'm telling you, things happen, and the people outside the country know it. And this government know that they know it.
You know, it's
some of the problems we're having are coming from that because the government is known to be playing around with figures, etc.
You know, for me as an investigative journalist, look, if you are dealing with numbers just as an economist also, you're familiar with patterns, you try to correlate, right, with different data and see. So if you look at the election results in 2021, and like I said at the beginning, I'm not confirming or saying Barrow won the elections or the election was stolen. Or I'm in a position where I don't see enough reason to believe in either sides. But let me just give you a suggestion. So before the elections, there was a separate survey, and the separate poll says Barrow was going to win, and separate projected a Barrow smashing in the rural areas, and that's what happened. And it shows UDP is very strong in the urban areas, and that's the elections came to show that. And even all the elections after the parliamentary, the councillor elections, the chair, it shows UDP is an urban party. It shows NPP is very much solid in the rural areas. That survey came to be the election results. You still don't believe this survey?
No, I don't, because there are quite a lot of flaws in it, and you know it, and I know it. And the results of that survey, because a survey depends on what questions you ask, who you ask, and what parameters you put in there. You know that, I know that. So these are some of the things that are there. But if you look at the election results of that presidential election and what followed, you see the disparity between the results. Because we have put in place the systems which prevented that fraud of 2021 from happening again.
The disparity in what sort of results?
Barrow said they had over 400,000 votes, and we were put at 230 something. That's almost half of what they had.
Yeah.
And the other election results, we were beating them in numbers.
You had more popular votes.
Yes.
And you still had
and those results
lesser seats.
Yes, we had lesser seats because of the election gerrymandering that happened. When you have 43% of the population living in West Coast, and you have so few seats in West Coast, and you have less than 20% living in the whole of CRR, UR, etc., and you have so many seats there, the election gerrymandering.
That's the gerrymandering. That's what Barrow's making. That's
that's not his making.
That's status quo.
No, it's not status quo. It's gerrymandering that happened, that has been maintained. Okay, so that is the result of that. The popular vote does not reflect the number of seats.
Yeah.
You would have had it if you had a proportional system. We don't have a proportional system.
Yeah.
So when you create seats in some of these constituencies which have 2,000, 3,000 voters, and you have San Elementary which has 70,000 voters, of course there will be this kind of disparity. Otherwise, San Elementary could have had easily 10 NAMs instead of one, compared to some of those constituencies in the hinterland.
Yeah, but that was the status quo even on the Jame.
Right, Jame put 5 seats in 4 years. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. This is election gerrymandering.
Yeah.
That is what creates the sort of disparity in terms of norms. If you went by the just numbers, the sheer numbers and the proportional, you would have had a majority of seats in parliament. Absolute majority. But it didn't work that way because of the election gerrymandering. You cut out the country in such a way to favor a political party. That's what happened before. That's what's been maintained. If you talk about status quo in that sense, yes, the status quo worked in that. So you do that just to be, but the presidential election doesn't work on that basis. The presidential election is a total number of votes cast in the country.
Yeah.
So if we go
and
by
dealing
that,
with different questions, because in that case it's now Ushenu versus Barrow. It's no longer those individuals.
Yes.
It's not like Yankuba, Talib and all that. It's Ushenu versus Barrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Yankuba and Talib, etc., is the UDP who made them win. They were UDP's candidates and UDP campaigned for them. This people are
but they come with their own appeal. Because every individual also comes with it. Like you come with your own appeal.
Obviously.
If UDP chooses you, for example, you would come with your own. There would be someone who would look at it, I like this guy.
Yeah,
everyone
true.
comes with their own appeal.
Oh yes, that's true. Yeah. What I'm saying, that appeal is just a small percentage of the overall appeal.
Well, we don't know that yet because we don't have data to show that.
We do. Take a few cases, right? I'm very empirical, but very, very telling. When what's this guy's name again, who was very popular in UDP and left in the 90s? Wajuara. Very popular. He left the UDP, he went with nothing. Modu Sabali has been very popular in UDP. When he left the UDP and went to NPP, he went with nothing.
Yes.
I am well known now in UDP, etc., etc. If I were to leave UDP today, I would be taking the UDP voters with me.
But
you
can take a few. You can take
a few, but a very small minority number. What I'm saying, but if UDP puts me forward, my appeal, as you say, is combined with the bigger appeal of the UDP to bring in more people. But I'm saying the biggest appeal is with UDP.
Yes.
And then the candidate will bring a smaller appeal to complement that. So the appeal for UDP, whether it's Usainu Dabo or somebody else, the bulk of the appeal is there. And whoever comes now brings in a smaller percentage from his personal appeal. So that is how it works. And Usainu Dabo has been that not only the appeal for the average UDP voter, but has also brought in the appeal of the UDP. Now, what we are working towards is to bring in other people who are not traditionally UDP, who are sitting on the fence, and who are listening to our message we're putting across. Not as an opposition party that is dogmatic or whatever, but no, as a responsible opposition party with credible programs. We are talking to people who are reasoning now, who are listening to what we are saying, and who are listening very well to what we are saying, because we are selling a program that is showing that we have a credible alternative to this corruption that is taking place. Yes,
you are selling, but your program, because political party have two products. They have their programs. They also have their
candidate.
They have their leader.
Yes.
And you are selling your product, and there are a lot of you people who looked at your product, including from within your own party, look at your product and say, well, this product is a PR disaster at this point. We can't sell it. Okay? Because it's... And let's finish our statistics.
The product, you mean the program or the person?
No, I mean Usainu.
No.
Because Usainu is separate from the program.
So what I'm saying...
The program is the UDP.
Yeah, but Mustafa, it's a few people who have access to social media, who have been saying this essentially, but as I'm telling you, the vote on the ground has given you something totally different.
If that few is your campaign manager, would you not be concerned?
No, I wouldn't be concerned. I would have wanted to keep him, but he does not have that sway. He is selling a party program. When he goes to bring in somebody else who will sell the same party program. I don't have any worries about that.
Let's look at
I'm not sure Karafa or Talib or anybody has that much of an impact on our electorate than the party and its program.
Yeah, but even those individuals in themselves, even their one vote is still minus. You are competing Barrow, and the voter margin between you and Barrow is 200,000.
I don't buy that. That's cooked up results. But what I'm saying is, whatever the margin might have been, think it's in our favor, but whatever it might have been, that's quite a matter for conjecture.
Yeah.
What we are doing is try to bring in as many people as we can. We wouldn't have wanted these people to go, but they have gone. And that's democracy.
Yeah.
We respect their rights to come and go. But we will not have them determine and dictate to us what we do. We go through a selection process. And when the vast majority says this is what we want, we will not bend to the will of a few people.
No, I understand, but politics is consensus building.
It's consensus building,
I mean,
but it's also realism.
You should tell me that because I'm not a politician.
Yeah, it's realism also on what is on the ground.
Yeah.
Like the people who tell us, oh, you should step down and give the leadership of a coalition to somebody from a smaller party. It doesn't make sense.
No, I'm not saying that.
It doesn't make sense.
I'm not even saying, no, I am not
analogy.
I'm not even saying that you should consider for a second the argument that Talib should lead. But I am saying there's a lot of folks who are not necessarily Talib people. They're just they're just everyday Gambians saying, Hussein has had enough of a run and he has lost the 20-21%. They believe that. And let's look at the statistics, right? You've talked about the separatist force that you think is not good enough. But after the separatist polls, of course, the election results comes to confirm that Hussein has lost. It could have been stolen. Like I said, I hold no position on that. And because I am yet to independently analyze it. But I know that if I have reviewed the election results. I don't see any smoking gun. But then after the presidential election, there was an Afrobarometer survey also. Afrobarometer survey asked people, what's your preferred political party, right? Significant number of people said their preferred political party is NPP. Right?
It's NPP.
Yes, NPP.
Okay.
And you can check this survey. It was released in January 2025. And a number of folks said NPP was 22%, 22.5%. Only 14% says their political party is UDP. 22% said their political party is NPP. That's favoring the NPP. That's January 2025. Even though we still had Barrow's popularity on the decline. All the surveys are constant on that. Barrow's popularity is on the decline. But no matter how declined it was, he was still doing better than Hussein, right? And after that, they also asked, if elections were held tomorrow, who would you vote for? Significant number said, 20-something% says, 27% says Barrow. Only 17% says Hussein. Okay? And a more recent survey also by Gambia participants, regardless of how you think of these surveys, they are consistent in one thing, that Barrow's appeal is better than Hussein's appeal.
Well, I think we'll agree to disagree on those things.
Yeah.
Because what those surveys are saying, we are saying those surveys, I went and I had a very big disagreement, for example, with Tuba Mari, a data scientist who is based in the US now. Okay, and a number of things. And he came out, in spite of the disagreement, this time around, he came out and he bashed the data of these people. And he put up some very good analysis, etc. And this is not anybody who, I did work with him for some time, and then we fell out for some reasons. And then he came out this time and we agreed exactly on what he was saying. So these data are not gospel truth. We do not discard them out of hand because some things in it could be true, and we work towards changing that. But we do not fundamentally believe in what they're saying because they're coming from the same. Look, Gambia participates. This was the outfit that went out on a limb to campaign for the 2024 constitution, in spite of knowing that it's so bad for the Gambia. And they went to the point where they put words in my mouth and in Useinu's mouth and mouth of a cleric saying that we were campaigning for the 2024 constitution. Now, if that's not dishonesty, I don't know what is. And these are the same people who came out with this survey again. Their reputation is already tainted. And they come with another survey which we think is tainted. We will look at the results. We will work towards changing what we need to change because I said we are realists. We look towards results and see what can we do to make our situation
But
better.
a realist would
And
look
the
at this
realist-
situation and say, I've just quote you 4 surveys that are
Yes.
consistent in saying Barrow's popularity is on the decline. Even Barrow is contesting that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But they're also saying Barrow's appeal is higher than Hussein. 4 different surveys. So it's not just Gambia participates. Afrobarometer, Sepras, Gambia participate.
Well,
4 different
those are-
surveys.
yeah.
And I mean,
By 3 institutions.
and politics it's by marketing. Politics is marketing.
Exactly.
So if you go out marketing
So
a product
who's marketing those surveys? That's one question we should ask ourselves to
yes,
start with.
Yes, I know.
But now, our job is cut out for us. We are going to go and market our party and our leader.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it in a way where it will get people to vote for us. And see, what is happening in this country is enough to make anybody think twice. This government has been one of the most corrupt, if not the most corrupt in the history of this country. In spite of what people say about Jammeh, I still believe that this country government is the most corrupt in the history of the Gambia. And led by somebody who has seen that and has condoned it for all this time. That's Barrow.
As an investigative journalist, that's something you agree with me on that. And yes, I don't think that's the subject right now.
No, yeah, that's not the subject. But what I'm saying, I'm saying that is laying a foundation. This is what we have in the country right now. And to oppose that, we have somebody who has been in government for 2.5 years and who left, and they could not pin the theft or mismanagement of a butut against him. This is the man who led an opposition party for 29 years. We're in the 30th year, and there isn't anything that has been held against him. This is the man who has been in public life for half a century as a public servant, as a private practitioner, and nobody has said he embezzled something from me or he hurt me there or nobody, nothing. I would vote for that person any day compared to an Adama Barrow.
Yes, but that is you.
I will show you what this government is doing to hurt the average Gambian and how we are suffering and how we are being left with a debt that our grandchildren will have to pay back.
And you think you could do that more eloquently than you did in 2021?
Yes, we'll do it even better. What we did in 2021 was not bad, but we have more people today on the campaign trail that we didn't have in 2021.
You are losing also
and we
some
are
people.
We are going to we are losing some people, but we are recruiting a lot of formidable people as well.
Let's see.
We're going to sell that much better this time round than we did in 2021.
Makam Sow, what he says in his resignation was that he says with all the enthusiasm and the millions raised and spent in the last 21 elections, Usainu could not win. So he says whoever didn't vote for Usainu in 2021 is not likely to vote for him in 2026.
Yeah, that's his opinion.
Yes, but let's look at the issue of enthusiasm. I mean, you talked about the issue of your conviction in Usainu, and of course, that's your job. You are telling us your job. Your job is to market Usainu. But I'm looking at Usainu as a product itself. Okay. Now you are fighting against not just Barrow, but you are also fighting against public perception, because politics is battle of the minds, and in any marketing, you need the perception of the people to say this product is super good. It's not just enough to have a good product.
Can I just come in at that point?
Yeah, right.
One, I'm not marketing Dabo. I'm marketing a policy and a program led by one man with the objective of saving this country from this group of people who are reading it today. Two, the public perception was created by people who systematically used state resources at a time when we didn't have access to any of those resources in terms of publicity and everything. And systematically, they've been slinging mud at UDP. Of course, some of it stuck. There was only GRTS in this country. And from the time of Jammeh, that has been systematically hammered into the heads of people. And it has stuck with some people. Last year, when we went on the tour with Dabo around the country, there were so many villages, they came to us and said, we wanted to apologize to you people who have the opportunity today. We believed in propaganda that was being out there against you, and we realized that we were wrong.
Propaganda?
That we are a tribalist party, that we are not any good, that we are going to throw away people, and we don't have a program, and a whole series of things. But now we've seen that one, you are not the tribalist party they say you are not going to throw out anybody, you have a whole series of programs you are selling to us, you have a good leader. So all of these things are coming, and people were coming out, places where I didn't even intend to stop. We didn't have any stops there. They forced us to stop and have campaign rallies there for about half an hour, 1 hour, even though we didn't need to do it. And people are beginning to reason on their own and not just buying the public propaganda that was being forced down their throats. So that's a positive change. We see that happening. And we're going to try to amplify that. We didn't have access to the media. In 2021,
UDP, Lamin,
yeah,
is UDP has the largest social media presence in the
social
Gambia.
media, yes.
Yes.
Social media now that's coming, and
WhatsApp,
that is replacing,
Facebook,
that is
everywhere.
changing the narrative.
Yes, but it
Until recently,
didn't do so well in 2021.
yeah,
for them.
2020 was just the beginning of the whole process. We did social media
You did have huge social media presence
we
even before
did,
2020.
we did.
Even 2020, 2016.
But you know that in 2016, yes, it helped, and Adam Barrow was saying it even himself.
Yes, yeah.
But you do know that social media is not accessible to so many people.
But now WhatsApp is Facebook,
Okay?
900,000 Gambians are on Facebook.
Now it's improving a lot. That's why we say we have a different dynamics and we're going to use it to get to the people. There are a number of places in this country where all that they get is GRTS.
Yes.
And they will tell, oh, even GRTS said, even GRTS said, they believe it.
Yes.
So now social media is going to help us change some of those narratives.
Well,
we
you
didn't
haven't
have
even
that before.
responded to my question because I wasn't talking about Dabo being a tribalist. I mean, there is
No,
only
not you. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What's
that's
out there?
not that. You know, Mahdi and I have had a special session on tribal politics in the Gambia and how it's manipulated, used, and all that stuff. So I know what tribe means for an average Gambian elite. They just use it for whatever. So I have limitations when discussing tribe. I know what they do use tribe for. And what I was trying to reach at is perception is very important in marketing.
Absolutely.
And if you have your product, however good you believe your product is, you need the perception of the public
to embrace it.
Favorable
to embrace it,
to that product.
Yeah.
And I am telling you, it's not just NPP propaganda that's pushing at your candidate. You also have surveys saying this guy is likely not to win. It's likely to increase apathy.
And that survey is not doing us any good.
But there are tons of surveys saying it.
Those surveys are not doing us any good, and they are selling ideas which we don't think are correct, and data which is not correct. As I said, to Bamari, who's not somebody I agreed with in the recent past, he came out and said the same things as us.
But these are independent surveys.
Yes, they're supposed to be independent surveys. They're supposed to be. And as I said, we do not discard out of hand their findings.
Yeah.
Okay? We know that some of it could be used and could help us direct our campaign at certain sectors of these communities. And we're going to do that. But we do believe that what they are saying in those surveys are not correct. But that helps build the perception that was already there. As I said, Gambia Participates has not been the most objective people in this country.
But Afrobarometer and CEPRAS also?
They have, I don't want to spend time discussing those people and their surveys because we do not agree with a number of things they say. What we're going to focus on is the negative image that are being built or sustained by those kind of surveys. That's what we're fighting against. And that's what we're going to the Gambian people to tell them, to see the reality on the ground, to see that it's not just these surveys that's not what's going to govern them. It's what the government that they put in place is going to do for them or not do for them. What Barrow and his people have not done in 9 years, they will not do in another term. This corruption that has been there for 9 years is going to be amplified if they were to come back again. That's what we're going to tell people and show them. And the poverty that is growing today, that poverty is going to just get worse because our economic situation is getting worse. Our debt situation is getting worse. The dollar is depreciating every day. Everything is going to get worse in the next couple of years, even couple of months. Today, the dollar is at how much? 73.5 to the dollar. At the beginning of the year, I said to somebody, by the end of this year, the dollar will be well over 70. And say, oh, come on. We're getting towards 75. By the end of the year, it probably will pass 75. Why is that? The economy is is floundering everywhere.
Yeah, but by
So
2021,
the
we still had issues like that. I mean,
still
the
had
economy
issues
was
like that.
not good.
Yeah.
There was still a lot of reports on public sector corruption.
Yeah.
In
But
fact,
I said we'll agree to disagree on that because I believe that in 2021 they did not win. They stole the election. You said don't have smoking gun, and I'm telling you something different. So I said we just agree to disagree on
even
that.
the surveys that were collected again on election integrity, most people believe that election was not stolen.
Yeah, well,
So if you go
that's the
out
beauty.
there, I mean,
But
I am
you see,
imagining how tough your job is going to be. You
it's
are
a tough
going
job, yeah.
because
Because
you
you
are
have
going out
look.
there. According to surveys, public perception is that folks hold.
But do you agree that the public perception on the horrible economic situation is different from what it was in
But the
2021?
public perception says Barrow is on the decline.
Yes.
But it still maintains that Usenu is doing worse than Barrow.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's the public perception about those things that we have to change. Why would Hussein be worse than this person when Hussein was not the one running this country, when Hussein was the one who managed to bring this 1.45 billion euros or 1.7 billion euro commitment for the Gambia, which we lost? Why is Hussein who managed to bring the Jambour solar power station, the bridge in URR and all of those? When Hussein managed to bring all of those things to this country, and we are today where we are with the corruption of this government, with all the money that's being squandered in road construction at extremely high cost for us, with a debt of over $130 billion is hanging over around our neck, and all of those things. Hussein is not responsible for that.
Yeah, I know, but
and that's
all
what we're
those
going
are
to
facts.
sell
Yeah.
to the Gambian people. Tell them this is the reality, and this reality is created by this government. They're the one who put us in this situation. And if you vote for them, it's going to get even worse. Your health situation is going to get worse. Your agricultural situation is going to get worse. Your power sector is going to get worse. Everything is going to get worse because these are the same people who did this to you for 9 years. And all that happened is they made their lives better at our expense. Now, what makes you think that they're going to change all of a sudden and turn and think about you?
Do you not think that
This is the government that brought in about over 50 tractors, and they say they're going to sell it to the farmers for $600,000 a year. Who can pay for that? That's going to their cronies. So these are all the issues that we're going to put on the table.
No, I know.
And sell it to the Gambian people.
I mean, like I said, even 2021, Barros didn't stand a good chance.
And he didn't win.
By popular opinion.
Yeah.
But he still won.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Okay.
Let's agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah. But then, I mean, if you look at it also, you guys, right now, 2021, before 2021, you started bleeding. I mean, you had people who were internal, and they were leaving. Some of them. Barrow left. He left with some of the people who became key strategists against you. And they came and tell people, UDP, you have seen what some of the statements some of your members have made in the lead up to the election. UDP is a tribal party. UDP has done this, has done that. Okay? And now you are running against Barrow, who is Mandinka, right? And they look at...
Oh, you see.
Barrow is Mandinka.
He changes tribe every time.
Yeah,
One day he's Mandinka, next day he's Fula, then another day he's Sarahule.
Politicians do.
No, not politicians, dishonest people.
Well, Janet used to tell us he was from Ilyasa. But in any case, you've seen Barrow doing so well in Mandinka majority, man. I don't like to discount ethnicity in voting. It's nothing wrong with that. In the US, they talks about Latinos vote, blacks vote, white American votes. This is not strange, right? But the point is,
you go bring those people to the votes and make them vote, but not build on the differences.
The difference. Yes, that's a different thing altogether. Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is that Barrow is doing so well in some of the minor other ethnic communities than UDP is doing. I mean, according to the results, the last election results. If you look at now you have Talib leaving. I mean, he hasn't left yet, but it does seem clear that he's going to leave. You have folks who are associated with Talib leaving, and you are going to be facing similar allegations. In fact, there are already claims out there that UDP has not been favorable to Talib because he's of the minority ethnic group. And
who is selling that narrative? It's the same people.
No, but this time it's not being
We
sold
brought
by Barrow.
Talib.
This time
We brought
it's sold
Talib
by a
in.
third party.
We brought Talib in
Yeah,
and made Talib who he is in the party and in the country.
yeah.
Who knew Talib? Nobody. UDP made him what he is and fought for him, and he won 2 elections. So if we were fighting him on tribal grounds, do you think we would do that?
No, I am not talking about reality. I'm talking about perception.
Yeah, so I'm saying that's why I say it's those perceptions we have to counter.
But
and
how
we're going
do
to
you?
do it.
But these perceptions are what? These are perceptions are part of the reasons why you lost the presidential elections, and these perceptions are still here. And you.
So you think that we cannot change perceptions by talking to people
No, I'm
who are
not saying.
reasonable?
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But then how would you because now that you seem to be in disagreement with all the surveys, are you doing your own survey?
We are doing not as these people will have, because we do not have the same kind of resources that they have to do the things, but we are working on the ground with the people. Our people are all the time out there talking to the people on the ground, because these are the ones who are going to vote. These are the people who will talk. If we had those people in the grassroots leaving the party, we would get worried. But the opposite is happening
You do
there.
not think now the grassroots, a lot of folks will leave with time?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Because we have our years to do. I told you, we are not political optimists. We are political realists. We go out there, we look at what is happening, and we see what is in our favor, what is not. We try to devise strategies to change it. The narrative which has been going on in the perception, which has been skewed against the UDP, for the reasons we all know. We work on that to change that perception for
But
people
here
to
is
see.
here is what's going to be super difficult. Now you are having Barrow on your front and you are fighting Barrow. You are trying to communicate policies. You are trying to communicate a program.
Which he doesn't. He doesn't have any policies or
Well,
programs.
Barrow would also be communicating his policies and program. He will be launching projects.
Oh, okay.
Remember, this OIC road is still not launched. The third phase.
Yeah.
He will be launching everything.
And we have been telling everybody how this OIC has been a huge white elephant for us, and which is killing us and the economy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you will be doing that, right? On one hand, you will be with Barrow. On another hand, you will still also be selling your candidate, which is Hussein Otawa. And there is a public perception. There are tons of perception surveys you will have to be countering, irrespective of that. And on the third one, you will still be selling also. You will still be fighting perception being created by folks who ran away from yourself.
Yeah.
In other words, you are going to be having internal bleeding, and you're going to be needing to cauterize the wound.
No.
And you have to deal with 2 other critical.
That's where I think we differ a lot.
3 armies.
We have had a number of people leave the party with Barrow and they went away. That didn't weaken our party. And we are building stronger because of the poor performance of this government. And people are leaving NPP, and the government supporters are living in en masse. We know that, and they know that. That's why they are so worried, and they go about giving this voter ID cards, abroad and all of that, trying to rebuild and stock the voter rolls. So they are all doing, because they are scared, and they know what is happening, and we know what is happening, and we are seeing that on the ground. And we're going to continue doing that. The perceptions, yes, have been skewed against UDP for a number of reasons by people who, for whatever reason, have been selling all the wrong stories about us. And they know it's false, they know it's not true. But they're doing it because of personal interest. What we are working for here is the interest of the Gambian people and the Gambian nation and the Gambia as a whole.
Let me read this quote from you. Alaji S. Dabo says, I got this from Buba Gajigo's Facebook. It says that we can count on today, what we can count on today is a guaranteed base of 200,000 votes. Dabo won in 2021. Any reduction would have come from death, immigration, or members leaving the party. But can these 200,000 votes alone win us the presidency? Remember that those who leave the party have extended family who will also follow them. Do you agree with this analysis?
No, if Alaji Dabo said it, I totally disagree with him. If he said it.
This is what, Buba Gajigo is a credible journalist.
Yes, he's a credible journalist. Yeah. And Alaji will have to corroborate this. He's alive. We'll see him today. This afternoon, we have a football match tournament in Brikama.
He says, if our fixed base, which by itself cannot take us to State House, is shrinking, what assurance do you have of victory?
You said Alaji said that?
Yes.
Yes,
I mean,
okay.
I
I'm
haven't
good.
even
I'm
finished.
going
He
to
said
ask.
we need to close the gap of 200,000 votes between us and Adama Barrow, and we must do everything possible to secure 150,000 more votes. That means targeting undecided voters outside the party.
I agree with that. We will target undecided voters outside the party.
But now
We
you have
but
tons of perceptions to deal with.
but but
We've run
but
through all
if
of
he
them.
said that we have only 200,000 and that it is shrinking, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Everything we have, and in our different outings and meeting people, etc., is people coming in. Some villages, some parts of villages, they're coming in. They're asking us to go there. Next week, I'm going to do the same thing in 2 different communities in West Coast region here who are coming to us. We're having those things all the time. Our base is widening, and we'll continue doing that for the next year. We will continue doing that. What we had in 2021, we have more than that now. And we keep pushing and we keep amplifying because now we are talking to the people more in different fora, not just the social media, but we're engaging them on different stations. We are being invited to different platforms like this one, like Get Fatu, like Mimbe Caring and other places. And some of media are still close to us. But some are
And
beginning
media in the
to,
Gambia is close to you.
yeah, some of them are beginning to open to us. I was invited on QTV about a month or so ago. Star invited me at a time when I was traveling. I couldn't go to them. So we will have more of those things opening to us, and we'll talk more to people. So that means that the media is now beginning to be fair, and they are going to give us an opportunity to sell our case, and we'll be able to
But
sell
media,
it.
you could
Like,
say,
for
is
example,
probably much more thorny on the side of NPP than on you. Because you not much on the spotlight.
no. I mean,
NPP, it's the government.
we have media that are fair, like this one here,
But
like Get Fat, etc.
NPP is under more
But
scrutiny than you guys would ever be.
some of those media, they are just NPP friendly. They just lob softballs at them, So they don't ask them any questions that are going. No, but you can look. You are holding me to account. You are challenging me. You are questioning me, and we're discussing this openly without any taboos. And you can ask any question.
But when
We agree to disagree.
Dr. Cisse went through the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So your platforms
And we
your
also,
platforms are objective.
but also media houses are publishing tons of audit reports, tons of investigative reports, tons of. So Barrow is probably the most scrutinized Gambian leader ever.
Yeah, which media houses are doing that? So that's the point. So what I'm saying, you have some which are very fair, which are very open, and you have been asking me tough questions. You're not letting me get away with anything. So, and that's what we want. I don't want any favors from any media house. Ask me the tough questions. Let's argue it out. We can even agree to disagree, but we will discuss them very openly, very frankly. And when somebody else from the government comes in, asking him the same tough questions. And that's why we need to get from the media. That's what we need from you. You have got to keep hold our feet to the fire. Because when we become the government in this country, we will need you to continue to do that for us.
Well,
so that media perception is something we're going to have to change gradually. So hopefully they'll be more and more open to us, and we'll be able to go to more media houses, and we'll be able to talk about issues. In the meantime, we will use the media houses that are open to us. We will use the social media platforms, and we will continue selling our program and our candidate. And we are on the ground, campaigning on the ground, because we can do all that we do. If we do not do that house-to-house campaign with the grassroots people, it won't happen, because that's where the elections are won or lost. And we are very strong in those areas. But we know that NPP is going to throw a lot of money at this election, because they know that for them this is one of the most important elections, because all that has been happening around them, all the corruption that is coming out in the audit reports and everything. They know that when they go, they'll be held to account for that. So they're scared. So they're going to throw money at this. But fortunately, the vast majority of Gambians are decent enough not to sell their integrity for money.
NPP will not be able to, in terms of when you are in government, it's going to be very hard for them to prevent corruption from coming out.
Well, why is the Auditor General being shunted now?
Well,
it could have something to do with that. It could.
Yes.
We'll wait and see, but it could have something to do with that. Why are different people in different ministries being moved around?
Yeah.
All of these are things that
But in
happen.
any case, corruption will still be exposed. Audit reports will be published.
Yes, we haven't had any published for a very long time now, and we need to see them come out.
Yeah.
You know, when Macky Sall was leaving, he said in audit reports, he put his elbow on them. Barrow's not putting his elbow, he's sitting on them. You know, but it'll come out. You know?
Well, just finally, I've kept you for too long. Just on one issue. I mean, I've observed our political parties a lot. Like I said before, investigative journalism, I was a political reporter. I've reported on the activities of these political leaders and also look at the political structures. There's something I've always found difficult to understand. You guys, you have, for example, you have an organizing secretary is a politician. Campaign manager is a politician. Some of the critical structures that are necessary to build a candidate for presidency are politicians. Isn't that conflict of interest? Like, why do you do that? Why are campaign managers and why don't political parties have staff? And this is the same in UDP also.
Because those positions are elective positions.
But why are they so? Because, for example, if you are a campaign manager of the UDP and you are a presidential aspirant, I am a member of the UDP, I am a presidential aspirant. How do I count on you to build my candidate?
I will count on your integrity and honesty that if you cannot build my candidature anymore, build on that, you will leave.
But this is human, I mean, you don't leave things like that to human.
Yes, I know.
If you go to, for example, US and other places, you have parties, they have a small pool of staff, or depending on in other countries, even in Africa, parties have a small pool of staff, where campaign fundraisings are managed by staff, campaigns are managed by staff, and other things. But here they are managed by politicians themselves.
Because this is a very small country with a very poor population and an opposition party counting on those poor people to be able to run itself. How do we afford the resources to pay for those sort of things? We already have some staff we are finding difficult to pay because we have to dip into our pockets to pay for all those sort of things. Now, if you add more to that, you will find it difficult to do. In the US, you talked about, there's government funding of parties. There is a certain amount of money that's given to every political party that is credible and viable. We don't have that here. There is quite the opposite. All the money from the government, indirectly or directly, going to the government, to the ruling party. That happens. But the oppositions have nothing. Nothing. And when we come to power, for example, that's one of the things we're going to change. That's going to be campaign financing for the major parties and upcoming parties. Because if you don't do that, what happens? You're going to end up having illegal money, and recycled money and that sort of thing coming into those parties. UDP today, if we were to go out to the business community and try to get money, and promise them that they will let them have it their way when we come, they will get money. But we are not selling our soul to the devil. We are staying clean and fighting so that we can be independent tomorrow when we get to power and do the right thing for the Gambian people. So if you have some government funding going to those parties, you could recruit some of those agents you talk about and do some of the things that you want to do. But today we have to pay for every single activity, every single agent we have in the party. People have left their jobs and are working for the party. People are doing fantastic work for the party. We couldn't give them the amount of money we should give them to make them be able to live from that job. So they are sacrificing a lot for the party and for the country because they believe in this party, they believe in the country, they believe in what we can and should do for this country. So they have been doing this for decades. So if we want to bring in additional staff to do some of the things that we could do, or some of the studies we want to do which we cannot do, if we want to do all of that, we are putting additional burden on the party and its few faithful who are putting money in there. So we have to be realistic. I said we are realists.
Yeah.
So we can't do some of those things.
Finally, I was here and someone walked in here. It's a member of the NPP and he says your former cousin, Barrow, is super happy right now because UDP is...
What else will you say?
UDP is going through, in his view, an internal crisis, and akakayal ila molu benyadi.
What else do you expect from them?
It seems to be very happy. Do you think
Oh,
it will
yeah.
be disappointed?
It
I mean,
will
it
be-
doesn't seem so. I mean, the facts don't seem to be
No, the facts don't
on your
corroborate that.
side.
No, the facts are on our side, quite the opposite. What they think is not corroborated. Look, we would be worried if we have the grassroots abandoning us. We would be worried if we have certain people leaving the party. But we know who is leaving today. We know that the UDP
Do you
population.
know all the people, because I mean you're within yourselves, you know who is on which side.
Yeah.
You prepared for what's to happen.
Well, we saw this coming for a very long time. And we tried to prevent it because nobody wants to lose supporters in any party. We did our best to prevent this. We organized meetings between the so-called aspirants, and people who were planning to be caliph in place of the caliph, or people who were trying to be the next flag bearers, etc. And a lot of things were happening which shouldn't have happened. We organized meetings between them. We organized retreats between them. And we try to make sure that this does not happen, that the party remains united. We can have disagreements on choices and policies and programs, and we slug it out on the basis of principle. But we don't want anything that's going to be divisive. So we try to work on that to prevent that. But some people are still bent on having it their way or the highway.
So is it the case that, I mean, just for confirmation purposes, Usainu Dabo, as far as UDP is concerned, is the one on the ballot?
Absolutely.
2026.
Absolutely. That's just been confirmed this week.
Yeah, and there
He
is
was a
no
flag
way
bearer.
of redoing the Congress or whatever.
Whoa, why would we do that? The people of the party have made their choice. Why would we veto them? You see, this is why we've got to accept democracy. You can't have your cake and eat it.
So
you can't say the people have a choice and they make a choice. You say, no, we don't like your choice, so we're going to change.
In other words, somebody could look at this and say, okay, UDP has a policy and a program. And that policy and program can be implemented by Dr. Lamin, Manneh, or Yankuba Dabo, or Landin Sane, or Talib Bensouda, or any of the individuals. Why is it necessary? Why does it have to be Usainu to do that? Because any other person could do it.
Because it's still what I'm saying is the principle of democracy.
Because
it's a choice by the people, for the people. So the people choose Usainu Dabo. Why would we be so undemocratic as to tell them, well, you've made your choice, fine, big deal, but we're not going to accept what you're saying. We do what we want. Well, then we will do exactly what we are fighting against. We don't want autocracy. We don't want plutocracy. We don't want oligarchy. We don't want any of those things. We want democracy, and we want the people to be able to choose who they want to work for them. Because remember, the people choose these people to work for them. So they should be able to tell us who they want to work for them. If they're not happy with them, they should have the choice to remove them and to bring in somebody else. So if the people tell us, we want Usainu, who are we to say to them, you cannot have that? Why would we do that? We would no longer be Democrats. Our party is called United Democratic Party. We want to be united and we want to stay democratic. If we tell the people, okay, yeah, you want to send a big deal, we're not giving it to you. Well, then we don't deserve to even the name United Democratic Party. And we don't believe in the tenets of democracy. And that's what we're saying to everybody. When Yankuba said, what he said, we said, no, Yankuba, you got it wrong. You shouldn't say that. And we called them, we sat with them, we had a chat. And he came out and apologized. Now, these people are doing exactly what they blame Yankuba for doing. The people choose, and you say, no, we don't like your choice, we go in a different way. So they say, UDP is going the way we don't like. The way we're going is the way the people want the party to go. They chose Usainu Dabo. So respect their choice. That's what we're asking Barrow and the others. Respect the choice of the Gambian people. Who they choose should be the one to lead them. They are paying for that. We are not being paid yet for anything. They have not entrusted any budget to us, but they want to employ us and entrust that budget to us to run for them. So we cannot tell them, no, we're not giving you who you want. It's as simple as that. democracy cannot be variable geometry. Today we like it because it favors us, tomorrow we don't like it because it doesn't favor us. No, it doesn't work that way. It's a standard practice that we give the people a choice, and a real choice, and we accept their verdict, and we go along with that. If we don't do that, well, forget calling it democracy. Give it any other name you like. So
the democracy comes in different ways. China also has a democracy, and they have
yes,
different ways of selecting their leader.
Yes, they have their own democracy. Just like in the Gambia here, parties have their own way of choosing their leaders. We have ours. And we believe that ours is a very good way because we allow the people to choose for themselves. Other parties do it in a central committee meeting or a national executive committee meeting or any other way they choose. That is their right. But our perception is that democracy should be full-fledged, and it should be the choice of the people. If the people were to say today, Hussein said it, he said, I'm going to ask for the vote of the people to become the party leader. He said, if they give it to me, I'm going to run and be the flag bearer. If they don't give it to me, I'm going to take a back seat and support whoever they choose. That was very, very good. And they chose him. So the others who came in under the same understanding, because we make them understand and take the kind of commitment that whoever wins, we will support and we will fall in line with behind that person and do the work. Otherwise, anybody who told us, if anybody was to tell us, no, if you don't choose me, I wouldn't start, we wouldn't accept you as a candidate. But all of them said, yes, we will accept whoever is chosen as a candidate by the people, and we work with that person. You think if they told us before that if you don't choose me, I won't accept, we wouldn't choose them. It was a commitment that you would follow the choice of the people and the party. And that was what happened. So why do you have a problem with that today? So if it favors you, you allow for follow. If it doesn't favor you, you go your way. Too bad. We can't hold you back. And that's also democracy. If you choose to leave, we have to respect your choice and say to you, thank you. We've been honored to have you with us and work with you and what we achieve with you. When Sabali left, when people ask me to talk about Sabali, that's what I used to say. I said, no, I'm not talking about him. He was one of us. We worked with him. We believed that he had reformed and rehabilitated himself, and we worked with him, and we achieved things with him. Today he's left. I'm not going to talk about him. I respect his choice. I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
All right. I think we've kept you for too long, and thank you so much for being here. This conversation is just beginning, and I'm sure we'll have another conversation on this subject, and probably much more subject, and the subject of Barrow, and a lot more government and corruption, and
especially now that we are free from
it's just beginning.
From the flag bearers. Now we can focus on the programs and move forward. And I really thank you very much for this first one, because this is what we need in the country at all levels. People who are going to be frank and who are going to be unrelenting in asking us the tough questions, challenging us, disagreeing and pushing and prodding. Human beings are human beings. You give them too much space, they will be all over you. You give them too much power, they will use it against you. You are too soft with them, they take you for granted and do what they like. So when UDP comes to power, we'll still need this. So thank you very much for that.
All right. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us and through this interview, and have a very great weekend. Bye.